Hi, everyone. Welcome to
Hey.
episode 3 of our Shadow and Bone live show discussion. So glad you could join us. I want to sit around and introduce ourselves again, even though I'm sure people are tired of being introduced to us. But say your name, your channel, and what kind of Grisha power you would like to have if you could have one. So I'll go first.
Taylor, dang.
My name is Jayla, obviously. I'm from All Loves Lit, and I feel like the most powerful Grisha are the heart renders, and I feel like there's no point in wanting to be another one. No offense if you have a different answer, but I just feel like you have all the power, you have all the advantages if you do, like, if you control someone else's body. So that's why I'd want to be that one.
Hi, I'm Katie. I'm from Katie Can't Read. And I every time I've taken the quiz, because I take it like 3 times a week just for personality reasons, I've gotten the Inferni, the fire one, and I think that's accurate. So
I'm curious to know why you think it's accurate.
I don't know, just fire.
She's a fiery personality.
There you go.
Just fire.
Head empty, just fire.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I'm Catherine. I'm from the channel Catherine Zofree. I mean, listen, my obsession with Nina Zenik runs deep, so like Heartrender. But if not Heartrender, I would say Tidemaker, just because I feel like controlling water would be pretty badass. Like, be a waterbender, but Heartrender.
Hi, I'm Rita. I'm from Life Worth Reading, and I feel like Corporalic are the. I think that's how you say it, right? I feel like they're the coolest type, I guess, because controlling the human body is just so badass. And even though that it's kind of useless, I wouldn't mind being a tailor. I feel like that would be pretty cool. But it's kind of useless compared to being a heartrender. But I feel like that would be kind of nice.
I don't know, you could use it a lot to your own advantage. So I see it being useful for you specifically, maybe not to everyone else, though.
True. But if I wasn't, I also think that materialnik, but in terms of like chemistry, I feel like that'd be cool. I have no interest in like metals and such, but I feel like making poisons, that would be pretty cool.
That would be cool, yeah.
Like a Ginya situation.
Mm-hmm.
Virginia.
Yeah.
I feel like Taylor would be cool, like if you're a spy, because then you can change your features and yeah.
I feel like it would just be fun to like change up your
look. Yeah, you could change your hair color whenever you want.
But it also could lead to a lot of existential crisis. So
yeah,
not knowing who you are anymore.
What do I actually look like?
I would like change things about myself, and then it's like when you put on a filter and you look so good with the filter, but then when you look at a picture of yourself not filtered, you're like, dang. So I feel like it'll cause a lot of self-esteem issues. So it's kind of dangerous, honestly.
Hey guys, my name's Christine, one half of the Ruby's Digest. I think I'd want to be a squaller, and I think I'd want to control air. Yeah, because then I could just suck the air out of people's lungs and also make myself fly. And yeah,
wait, could squallers do that? Because that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
I never thought of it. That's something they've done.
That, but that's what this squaller will be doing. So
I'm pretty
Very
sure
slippery
Zoya
of
did
you.
a couple times.
Yeah.
Really? Wait, in like
King of
in King of Scars she does.
Probably King of Scars, yeah.
Gotta read that.
Yeah, and cool. I just know that my work ethic I'd be like, I'm going to learn how to do everything I can do, and I'm going to be better than everybody. You think you can get some fire in here, not without air? Okay.
Well, yeah, and you can also do the thing where you like can amplify voices or like make sounds quieter with the being a squaller. I think that's pretty cool.
But really the top thing is I want to be able to fly, so.
Interesting. Sorry, I'm Monique. I would say Heartrender, but I think I need to take the quiz because there's a lot of good points everybody made. I need to figure out where my personality really needs to go. But Heartrender is right off the bat.
So it is based on your personality, or is it based on like what you?
I think
Like-
you're just born with it. Like, I think with like the Grishaverse, you're just born with it.
No, not like in the Grishaverse, but in the quiz specifically. Do they ask you like, do you like
Yeah.
fire, or do they ask
Yeah,
you,
they
are
ask
you
you.
spicy?
They ask you questions.
Okay.
Do you
Honestly,
like
the
fire?
first,
Do you
the,
like
the
fire?
first time that I did the quiz, I got tracker, and I was just so upset that I did it again. Because what kind of
Wait, tracker? Like you weren't even a Grisha?
no? I was
There's
so
Oh,
upset.
is that
What's your role? And I got Etherealky, and I took the one that's on the Grishaverse website, or it's like, what's your Grisha order? And then they're like, you control fire, and I was like, nice.
Okay.
Arson.
Because the only upside to that is that I'll be next to Mal, but there are no other upsides to being a tracker, I would say. Because
Yeah.
I would get murdered.
Map maker. No
Oh,
offense to those of you who are map makers.
I did see people getting cartographers.
I
I
also
was
saw
like,
people
that's
get
funny.
It's upsetting. It's upsetting.
Wait,
Let's ask.
can't draw.
Yeah, I'm like,
Hi, Stephanie. Yes, that ending. Thank you for being here.
Mm-hmm.
And hi, Sam. Oh, yes. Yeah. No, I don't disagree with you. I
For
don't
sure,
think anyone
Sam.
disagrees with you. And I would love to know what kind of Grisha you would like to be as well, Stephanie and Sam. I mean, I don't know.
Are you spicy?
Can I
What
ask the
kind of
question the other way around though? Like, what do you think is the most useless Grisha power?
Useless?
Like useless, or the one that you would like? I know that they're all useful
I was
in
like, I
some
don't
way,
think
but like
I
the
don't
one
think
that you
there's any-
like, really wouldn't like to have, or like the one that
If
you
you
would
had to
least
get
like
rid of
to have.
one, which one would it be?
I would be the one like the other half of fabricators, not the jurists, because I think that they're super useful, but whatever the other one is that's never even like mentioned in any books, like that's the one I wouldn't be.
I
Yeah, that's
just-
not a
but I
good
can't remember what
one.
it's called.
The chemistry one.
The
Yeah,
alchemy.
But
The
that would be
alchemy.
so cool to make poisons though.
it
But
would
yeah,
be
it's
cool.
it's
Like,
the one
never
that's
do
useful
anything in
for
the
sure.
book.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
Plus, I feel like you could like learn how to do poisons. Like it might obviously take longer, but that might be something that you can do without
Oh yeah, for sure.
abilities. Like that's what I would think. I would think anything you can do without that. Like making fire, I guess you still have to have the flint, but controlling fire, that seems like something you can't do
Yeah, I get it.
without being a Grisha. So I feel like
Mhm.
that would be like cool to keep.
Yeah.
But you
For
know,
sure.
Okay, wait. Question. In the book, don't like the Inferni have like flint that they use?
yeah.
Okay. And then in the show they just don't.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
They have those like really nifty glove that I'm like, why do you have that? You don't.
Yeah.
It doesn't burn.
Yeah.
Mhm.
They tweaked it a little.
Interesting.
That's
They're
See,
probably like
the
Stephanie,
eraser.
Stephanie wants to poison people.
Yeah.
Same. I
She
feel
should
you.
have-
I think they should have made Jinya an alchemy if she's gonna poison the king and stuff like that. I feel like that would have been a better use of her time instead of just. I mean, being a tailor obviously is important, and she used it very much in the books. If she's gonna do like that whole thing where she sickened the king, I don't see why they wouldn't just make her that.
True.
But then
But
she wouldn't
anyway.
have gotten close to the king because the whole reason she got close to the
True.
king was because she was a tailor for the queen.
Might be spoilers.
But then that's good because then things wouldn't have happened to her. But
Yeah.
it's
No,
a
that's
whole what
revealed
if
in the
situation.
last episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All of it becomes revealed. So let's
Or
talk about the
episode
last
7.
episode. Yeah, you're right. So let's start with episode 7. We get some Darkling backstory in here, which I found particularly boring, but I want to know what you guys think about it.
Low key.
I thought it was about 5 minutes too long. Like,
Yeah.
Like it just kept
But-
going. I was like, I get it, and then it just kept going, and I was like,
yeah, same.
okay.
Well, that and like, is this from the other book, like the prequel book? Okay, because I haven't read that one, and I was like, this storyline that nobody has heard of gets too much time in this show.
No, it's like
no.
totally made up for the show and just to kind of humanize the Darkling, which, if anything, I feel like it made him worse because it was like, oh, so he had these good ideas, but then he just became corrupt.
Right.
Is
Yeah.
how I felt about
Yeah.
It
it.
was the whole thing with the like so the healer was his girlfriend, right? Kind
That
of.
was
Yeah.
just not well explored. The thing
Yeah,
is that
we
it
don't
took
know.
the clip took too much time, but it still didn't explore pretty much anything. Like
Yeah,
there was
it
just
still
that
left me with
girl
more
and they
questions.
murdered her, and it was just like, who is this person? What does she mean to you? Like
Mhm.
what?
I mean, I think that it was his girlfriend, but then of course she is expected to live a shorter life. Like even though she lives a long life because she's a Grisha, she still is going to live a shorter life than him. So then there's like all that angst, and then she gets killed, and then Bagra like comes in with like good ideas, and he just goes, "No, forget you. I'm going to completely ignore you." And
I
yeah,
was gonna say the only good part of that entire 25-minute, I don't know how long it actually is, but it feels like an hour-long sequence, is that conversation he has with Bagra, where Bagra's like, Grisha are creators. And he's like, well, I'm just going to create an army then. Like that. Like that.
literally what he said.
Like teen
He
angst.
sounded like it's such an angsty boy. Like
Like
such
they
an
could have just
angsty.
kept that bit. Now it'd be like, neat. Got it.
And then it ends with him making the fold, because she's like, Grisha make things, and he's like, I'm gonna make an army, and then he creates the fold, and she turns around and is like, what did you do? And he's like, I made something. Those are literally the lines.
And
Yeah, it just explains so much better in the book how he became, and it wasn't even that much explained. It just I don't know.
well, because in the book he's not doing it for a girl, he's doing it for himself, and that to me is like more true to the darkling.
Yeah, like he
than-
lost
Exactly.
control. And
Well, I mean, I don't know if he was. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying he just like lost control, and then he's just been trying to top that feeling ever since or something.
the way it came out of the show too. Do y'all remember that when it came out of him?
That was
Yeah, it like
I don't know
comes
how I
out
felt
of his
about it,
arms
like-
and
I thought that was
shoulders.
Yeah, I don't know.
When he said he made the fold to Bagra, it has the same energy as like when some like little kid is like, I made the cake.
I made
it's just mud
something.
and twigs.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes,
Mhm.
and you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it just then
Oh.
makes him this guy
Sorry,
who is
Sam.
like hell-bent on revenge and
I mean, well, I guess he's not really someone hell bent on revenge.
It
Yeah,
just
I mean, I just didn't need it.
yeah.
and it makes me think that they're gonna tie it back into like the show later because they're like, oh, he did it for a girl or like love, and so I'm thinking like, okay, why are we bringing in this random storyline? It just makes me think they're gonna bring it up in a season or two later and be like, he's doing this for love because he's cuckoo bananas. You know?
Wouldn't that be?
Wouldn't
Would
for love.
Alina serve that purpose?
To
I
not
feel
have
like they
to
were
watch
trying
it.
to explain how he felt about Alina now, saying that I think they were trying to like show us that he was capable of emotional connection and that he could do dark things, but because of love. But it's just bullshit. Like it wasn't necessary.
Yeah,
anymore.
exactly. It's just bullshit.
And he just
Also-
disproves that later. Listen, I love
Oh my
long-haired Ben
God.
Barnes.
No,
So
no.
don't come
Yeah,
for
Karen,
me.
I think you're alone in this, and that's okay. But it just didn't look. It just looked weird. I like long hair, but that one just
I mean, the wig
something was off
weird.
about it. Yeah, something was off about it.
He wanted to
the
be
wig was
Orlando
weird.
Bloom so bad, and it just was not coming
That's why
across.
I liked him, because I love Orlando Bloom. He came on screen and it was like Orlando Bloom,
No, and I
or the
saw
guy
it, but I
from
was
The
like,
Hobbit.
just not
No.
quite there.
It was definitely like love hate. Like the concept of it was like,
Yeah.
yes, that could be very hot. But then the
Mhm.
execution, it was like, if a strong wind comes by, that is flying off his head.
That tope is like flying out.
In the
for
whole-
sure.
When he like throws his head back and creates the fold, I'm surprised the wig didn't slide off.
Oh my
I
god.
really thought.
No, it would have been a cool transformation, like signaling the turn to the dark side with him losing his hair. That would have been great cinema.
That actually would have been if he was just like zoom.
It was like a cool transition. Like it very much had like a TikTok transition where he like turns his head and then he turns his head to be like in the current timeline.
And
I was like,
"Ooh,
ooh,
that's yes,
fun."
it makes you appreciate how he looks now for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I
Because that
still think it's
transition, I was
that
like,
you guys
yes.
don't think Ben Barnes is the most attractive human in the world because
I know that Jayla doesn't think he's very
I
attractive, but who else doesn't think that he's attractive?
I don't think anyone in this group.
I mean, I
Aren't you guys saying that you didn't think?
Because I think he is, but I know that Jayla
Okay.
wasn't really.
I think
feeling him
Monique agreed
before.
with me actually on the first show.
Okay,
She should
okay.
hide it now.
He grew on me though on the show.
I don't think he's
But
ugly.
pre-show,
but-
I was not for the hype. I'm gonna expose myself. I was like, okay.
I kind of wish Orlando Bloom had played the Darkling now because I've seen that.
Orlando Bloom's
Can
old.
you all
Like he actually
imagine
looks
if
old.
Orlando Bloom was like that?
I would become a Darkling stan for Orlando Bloom.
Yeah, I'll be like,
Oh my
okay.
god.
Who else could he date? Just screen time.
The freaking cast we never knew we needed. Wow. Wow.
And yes, I agree about those veins. I mean, I get it. They weren't terrible to me. Just like, ooh, we're doing
I mean,
that.
I don't
Okay.
think they were supposed to look good. I think they were supposed
No, yeah.
to gross.
They're supposed to be
Definitely,
pure evil running in those veins.
Yeah.
yes, definitely added the drama.
I liked it because it's like a little preview, you know?
Yeah.
Mhm.
I feel like it leads to this toxic plot of excusing abusive and manipulative behavior. I mean, yeah.
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 AKA every Darklina fan ever. I said what I said.
Exactly.
And you're not wrong.
Exactly.
Yes.
Darkling is just a crusty old man. I mean, I agree.
You're absolutely right. You
That's
are
how I pictured him in the
You're right.
books, but
You pictured him a crusty
The
old man.
books, it was cute.
Yeah, in the books, to me,
I
he was
don't know.
younger than
Like
Ben
in the
Barnes.
first, obviously, like as the time went on, like I pictured him differently. But like when people were talking about the Darkling, but we hadn't met him yet in the books, I was just like, "Ew, he sounds old and ugly." I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Really?
I
Yeah.
pictured him younger than Ben Barnes. So when they cast
Really?
Ben Barnes, I was actually like really excited because it added to the creepiness if he was
Yeah,
so
for
much
sure.
older looking than
Definitely
Jesse.
does.
I feel like it would have been unrealistic to cast like a 20-something-year-old to play the Darkling. I feel like it
I
would
think
have
that's
been
exactly
super
what they
weird.
thought. too.
Well, especially since they kind of aged up the cast and they're all between the ages of like 23 to 28, you know?
Yeah.
Some other things that happen in this episode are after Inej got stabbed, they're kind of chilling in a barn, and Jesper and Inej have a really, really nice moment together, just talking about like Inej's freedom, and obviously the funny stuff with him not being able to look at her sewing herself up because he's not as tough. And Inej is just so tough, and I love her. But I really like that moment just because it was so heartfelt, and you really see how much they care about each other. And I just think we've talked about this so many times, but Inej and Jasper, great cast, perfect
I love
chemistry.
the dynamic. It's so
Best friends.
it's so wholesome. So
Yes,
Their
wholesome.
friendship is so good. And that when they're talking about how Inej can't go back to the menagerie, she's like, I cannot go back. And Jesper's like, I mean, I'll miss you and I want you to stay with us, but also like I get this is your shot at freedom. And I think that that is such a beautiful moment.
Yeah, I really love that he was like, Kaz wouldn't let that happen, but then he's like, but let me
Yeah.
not tell you what to do with your shot at freedom. Like, it's not my place. And I
Mhm.
love you, Jesper. You're wise and you're a goofball and you're both, and I just love it. You're a perfect mixture.
Yeah.
And then also I don't know if this is, I can't remember what the sequence, but they also have that talk with Inej and Kaz, and she's like about to leave. So how'd you guys feel about that? How did you feel about them building up kind of like Kaz as needing Inej?
I thought it was too early. I thought that
Yeah.
conversation was about 2 seasons too early. I just get that Kaz is a prequel at this stage, but in terms of Kaz's vulnerability in season 1, he's way too vulnerable, and I think it was just the writers trying to make him more likable because they know that book Kaz is like objectively unlikable without his internal monologue.
Yeah.
And so you have to show that he does care. But I'm like, you can show that without giving him a speech he should have 3 books later. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
because there's
feel like-
definitely moments that happen. Like that whole speech happens in King of Scars, kind of. No, it happens in Six of Crows where she says, she's like, you don't believe in the saints, who do you believe in? And in his internal monologue is when he says, you, Inej, but out loud he says, I believe in money. And it's not until like halfway through Crooked Kingdom that he actually like says the words, I need you. And so the fact that they brought that in so soon, I was like, no, not yet.
I would. They could have just completely not. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No. I was just gonna say that I think I would have preferred if they just let the Jasper moment where he says Kaz wouldn't let you, and I feel like Inej would have realized that, and it would have been like super clear what it meant without having to put Kaz in that vulnerable state. Because I feel like it said everything when Jasper said Kaz wouldn't let you go back to the menagerie, and I feel like you see the recognition in her. She knows that Kaz wouldn't let her, and I feel like that would have been enough to, show everything that we're saying.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Like, do you think they should have just completely left out the relationship storyline between Kaz and Inej for this season and not touch it at all?
Because they've already confirmed, the showrunner and all them, they've already talked and said publicly that they're not going to give them any like kisses or physical intimacy beyond what's in the books in the entire run of the show. So what makes Kaz and Inej so good is their slow burn. But if you're someone who's just watching the show and doesn't know this about them yet, then I feel like if I was just watching this as a show, I would become so frustrated that they're so vulnerable already, and then there's going to be what are they burning for? You know what I mean? What is the slow burn leading to now? In the books, what the slow burn led to was the vulnerability that they achieve in this first couple moments of the season. So it's like they lost that. What are they burning for now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I agree. I think it would have been really interesting if they had just left it with Jesper saying Kaz would not let that happen. And if that was the thing that sparked Inej being like, you're right. And if even just Kaz and Inej sitting at the fire without like saying any of those speeches, just like her being like, okay, I'm staying, without having him to like try and convince her of that. I feel like that would have been more in character than him giving a whole speech.
Well, especially since Inej's whole being, like pretty much until Crooked Kingdom, she's like, oh, Kaz just wants me because I'm a thing to him, like she never believes that there's more to like him other than his property, right? And she's his property. So that it's just so interesting to me that, like you guys said, they already like brought that in, because I don't know where do we go.
I feel like they might. This is just like a weird theory that just came to me, but like maybe they'll try to push them away, like try to, like when they do like with couples in shows where it's like they show a little vulnerability and then they like go one step like forward and then like two steps back. Maybe that's something that they'll do. And like try to put Kaz. I'm not saying like push them away in like physically, but just like pushing Kaz away like emotionally, and him then being like book Kaz after this vulnerability.
I think you just cracked the code.
They're definitely gonna have a plot where they go their own way or try to go their own way. It might not be a season, but it'll definitely be 2 episodes.
I just think it's weird because in the books, until like end of Six of Crows, this is kind of a spoiler. Maybe I shouldn't say this. Has everyone here read Six of Crows?
Monique.
Oh, okay. I'll just say in those books, Inej very much feels like she can't leave Kaz, and she's very reliant on Kaz, not because she feels like he owns her, but just she feels reliant. And so part of her like arc is her being like, I can kind of go out on my own. And so I think it's weird that they already have her trying to go off on her own in a time that just feels too soon.
I agree. Like part of it is just like the tension of her feeling like she should leave, but also not wanting to leave that badly. So her just being desperate to get out of it. Well, I understand it because she doesn't want to go back to the menagerie. It's just like, it's not how she was at the time, so it's just weird.
To me,
but
it
also,
feels like,
oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, let's say hi to Rachel.
Hi, Rachel. Hi.
to me, it felt like specifically the writers were like, how can we tell everyone what the couplings are supposed to be so they don't pick the wrong things? Because I can tell that they were like, how do we avoid, because Jesper and Inej have all these really good scenes. How do we avoid that being the number one ship thing when it's not? Like that, I could see that that's what they were trying to do. But at the same time, like, let people figure it out.
Yeah. I'm fine
and let the tension speak for itself.
Yeah, because they have a very good platonic banter, her and I feel like most people won't read into that. Like once you get into the group of them.
Right.
Maybe it's just because we know more. I don't know.
I mean, you literally said Kaz won't let that happen. I feel like that was a clear,
clear
moment.
That, and though they don't have a lot of like steamy or like, whatever scenes together, Kaz and her do have those moments where they're like with each other. You know what I mean? Like they're definitely with each other, and they're
literally their first moment in the
like,
show
together.
when she just shows up behind him and they look at each other. It's just like it's
Yeah.
already so there when he just feels her presence. It's like their first moment, and you can already tell that something is up without it being like thrown in your face and without like
yeah. Or when she hands him her knives before she does the tricks. Like that moment, you're like, oh my gosh, there's so much tension here.
Right. And like she's handing him her knives, and like we know as the readers who have already read it, that's important to her. But like you can still tell that even if you haven't read it, in my opinion. So, and they're always on the same page. Like there's a scene where they literally say the same thing together at the same time. And they're like standing next to each other. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
As someone who hasn't read the book, I didn't mind that little moment they had. But I guess if you guys see the longevity, the whole thing, it could be annoying. But I was like,
I think what I would have liked is seeing a budding crush starting, as opposed to it being like, oh, they've had these feelings for each other for a while.
Yeah.
As opposed to it being like, maybe it's the first time Kaz realizes he likes her, and vice versa throughout this first. I think that would have been so interesting, because then we could see how it plays out throughout. But then it just felt like, oh, he likes her from the very first scene. And I was like, ah.
Yeah.
But
I totally would have been down.
No, say that.
I would have been down for like Inej saves his life by killing that guy, and then all of a sudden he's like, damn, like I have all these butterflies in my stomach. What's going on?
That would have been so cute.
She kills a man for me.
Like, it makes me go.
Okay. That is a trope that we have seen overdone a lot, actually.
I don't care. But it works every time.
It's a good trope.
It is.
Except I feel like we see it in reverse a lot of the times in fantasy.
Oh yeah, that's
where
what
the guy is the one. Yeah.
It's always the guy. So I would have been fine with the reverse now with Inej saving him. That's fine with me.
Yeah.
But the funny thing about their dynamic in the show is that objectively, like as Mo was saying, like she watching the show, it's like objectively, it's not actually exaggerated at all. They don't have like grand gestures. They don't have anything, but it's just like to the reader that knows just how closed off they are in the books. It's like, it's so obvious that how different it is. But I feel like for casual people that are just watching, it's like, it's still so little. Like they don't even have like physical touch. They don't, you know what I mean? Like it's just so different for the reader, you know?
Yeah.
I think Mo, you're just like, yeah.
Because I feel like for the reader,
because if you haven't read it, it's exactly what Katie was saying. Like you're gonna be like, okay, so the next season maybe they'll get a little like, and not that's not gonna happen.
I'm curious to know because I feel like they're so good at showing very subtle intimacy and the very different ways that you can be intimate with someone. So are you picking that up, Mo? Like, did you like with the knives and the talking and finishing each other's sentences and stuff? Like,
all the moments I noticed, especially she was screaming, so it wasn't.
Well, okay.
Like an air horn, just
alert.
But
no, I think it worked. I do think what you said, Katie, where it could have just taken that one little speech out about
I need you.
Yeah, but I thought it was so cute. I liked it. I was like, oh my god.
No, I still liked it. As a Kinej shipper, I was like, delicious. But
no, yeah.
someone who's like looking at the longevity of their relationship, I'm gonna be very frustrated when next season someone's like, "Why didn't they kiss?" And like,
I also, I think they probably were worried they might not get renewed, so they're trying to make every fan happy. So they're like, we have to make sure that Kaz and
There's at
Ezra are
least
in
one
there.
scene, yeah.
Because they don't-
Yeah.
And let me tell you, I
Yes,
was happy
true.
with them this season, even though all those differences that we're talking about, and even though it was a bit too much for the reader that knows their relationship best, but I was still really happy with them. And
Oh yeah, I'm still
Like-
like so satisfied with how everything ended up translating from the book to the screen. Like
Mhm.
even though I have like we can be critical of something and still like genuinely really enjoy it, and that's
Yeah.
how I feel. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sam wants to know what characters we relate to most. I don't know. I feel like I relate to Alina the most, and that's why I don't like her.
I was gonna say, I honestly don't think I relate to like any of them.
I was gonna say I'm not angsty enough to relate to any of them. I don't think.
I don't know. It's just like Alina was very insecure. She's very calling myself yes. But you know, she's just not confident, and she really like held herself back. And so I think that's what frustrates me about her. But that's why I can see myself in her.
Honestly,
Thought it through.
yeah.
I relate to Tolia the most.
I was gonna say that for you.
I thought it out.
No,
I think I relate.
Toya in the Siege and Storm.
Why?
The twin.
Katie
All he does.
would burst
Oh,
out
okay.
in
All he
poetry.
does is want to
Oh my god, I love those
and
things
hug
where
his
he's just like
friends,
yelling
and that's
about
I
poetry.
relate.
Wow.
And
Okay.
everybody's just like, dude, shut up. Like it's enough. And it's
Aw.
never enough. It's never enough.
It feels
Never.
relatable when I say something about the book I'm reading, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, shut up!" Because I feel like Tolia gets that a lot, especially in the
Oh my gosh, with the poetry, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Always coming through.
Me and Tolia, we're one of the same.
Oh, good connection. Anyone else can think of one?
I know Catherine's.
What's mine, Katie?
Nina Zenik.
I was
As
gonna
always.
say-
That's my girl, Nina Zenik.
I don't know who mine would be.
Maybe Genya for me.
Ooh.
You know, she's a hard worker, but she, you know, she's really. I don't know. What do you think mine would be?
For you,
Yeah,
David.
David.
Yeah, he's focused on his work. He's funny, and he's valued by the people.
Okay, all right, I'll take it.
And he's
I
creative.
I too am in love with Jenya Safin.
We know.
Stare at Jenya from afar. I still can't get over that scene in episode 5 when he like is looking at her and then looks
man.
away and then just looks at her. It's so good.
Kyle.
Rent free. Rent free, baby.
I don't know. I would think maybe
I feel like you give me Mal energy.
me.
Yeah, you're just very dedicated. You know, you really don't stop until you have finished something, even if it's
Good.
against all odds. You literally just said that about something.
Fix
You
your
know,
face.
I will be the best fire air person ever.
She's
That's
so
her.
offended.
That's like Toya energy to
Okay.
me.
Zoya, but no, we know Zoya.
I think she picked out the good traits of Mal. That was good. I like that reasoning though.
He's so
Ma-
dude.
doesn't have that
I feel
many
like Mal is like Mal's like a Hufflepuff where he's very
Oh,
loyal and
Such
dedicated.
a
and-
Hufflepuff.
Oh God,
not-
I
you're not-
cannot.
You're not convincing
Okay,
her.
yeah, if you're going by those houses,
Yeah, I
you're more
cannot.
Zoya than
Yeah, there's no way. I'm more Zoya than Mal. I'm just not nice enough, I don't think.
I think you are.
Stephanie feels like she's Zoya.
All right, you got a twin.
Curious to know why, and
Fire.
not analyze yourself,
Yeah.
but
I
aspire to be
also
Nina.
want to be Jenya. Just like every day. I'm like, I wish I was her, but I'm stuck in a Tolia phase. This is my Tolia.
I wish I was Jenny, but without the trauma and the bad things.
the trauma.
Yeah,
Fair.
if you have to come with the trauma
I'm
of the
sorry,
person.
but
So you're
But it's so real. Like being Jenny would mean going through so much, and I'm just not ready for that.
Usually, why doesn't Jenya get to be happy? That's the end of the sentence. Why?
Mhm.
She does, right? I hope.
Oh,
Sure.
yeah, but,
Oh, okay.
I know her arc wasn't as.
but it could have been
redeeming as I thought.
happier, you know.
They could have
I
been
can't.
better.
I'll
Okay.
read it one day.
I don't
No, you guys
remember.
haven't read Ruin and Rising yet.
Oh.
It's okay.
Are you
Honestly,
saying hi,
I really
Michael?
am Milo.
Yeah, I
Yes.
also relate to Milo. I'm
Just chilling.
I too wish to
Milo
be hugged by
wins.
Jasper. I too.
I mean, yeah. Wait,
I would also
everything-
get coaxed over by Archie, you know.
Oh,
He'd be
yeah.
like, hey.
That's so.
Bring it
that
back
was
to the
so
episode.
good.
Me too. Me too, man. Me next.
Yes, I would
Freaking-
love to see a Milo. I mean, I don't know what he would do,
If
but I
Milo
would love to see it.
Stan Lee cameo in every season of this show, what's the
I hope
What's
so.
the point of having such? Yeah.
I need a Milo Nikolai scene.
Oh.
You're on something.
Under
I'm
arm.
onto something. Ooh. And it just be a scene for me to wish again that I was a goat so that I could be hugged by
Oh.
Nikolai.
Oh my god. Yeah.
That's it.
I love people are like the creators didn't realize what a big deal Milo would be, and I'm like, nah, they knew exactly
knew
what
what they
they
were
were
doing.
when they brought in
Okay.
this goat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And putting
But
it
it's
with
those little
Jasper
things
was
that
just
fans can like be crazy about. Yes, you know.
Yeah. It's like any like fun animal sidekick to a Disney princess, you know, where it's
Yes.
like they know this is going to be the marketable thing.
I mean,
This
and
is
putting
what
them
we're
together
gonna
with
sell.
Jasper, they knew what they were doing.
Where is my
I
Milo?
mean, Jasper is the Disney princess.
You're not even wrong.
That's it. That's it.
I mean,
Milo on a high. Oh my god, yes, he can get into small spaces and just like crawl through vents and things. I want to see this. It's not gonna happen, but I want.
Please, him like playing fetch and oh my god, imagine
This
him
is like
pulling
Galaxy
keys.
Brain. Yes.
Okay, you don't see Wyland being super jealous over some fiction, like some past Milo person, and then doesn't know.
wait, I love that.
When
Yes.
Jasper talks about Milo and I just really miss Milo, and Wyland's just like, who's Milo?
I really hope that happens.
A wallet photo comes out.
Yeah, we need that joke.
A goat.
He's got a tiny portrait.
Can we just go to the writing room or?
We need to like send an email, start a petition
Yeah.
for this
I
specifically
mean, I
because I,
feel like
love
we
that.
should just
I-
fight the next season, right? I feel
Yeah.
like
For sure. 8 episodes. No problem.
But back to what happens in this show. In episode 7, also, I know we went on a whole tangent. They kill the stag in this episode, and I wanted to know your thoughts on that because I have many. First of all, they took the thing out of the book they took it out of the show, but it was in the book where Alina asked Mal to kill her if the darkling like catches up to them and gets her on the stag. And I was really hoping they would do that and kind of play it up more because obviously in the book they like don't. He fails, but I really want to see him like at least attempt it in this. What do you
I'd love
guys
to see her ask.
That
Yeah, I
scene
would
is
see
super
that.
important for Ruin and Rising, and just the way that their dynamic works in the future. Because she's like, kill me. And he's like, absolutely not. And then he's like, you don't have to kill me. And she's like, or do I? And so, like, I just think, like, that dynamic is funner when you have the buildup of Shadow and Bone, what happens there. I was mad, though, that they cut the Melina kiss that brings Stag in. I will never not be mad about that.
I forgot.
Yeah, they cut a lot. I was like, what? This happened so fast.
It was very fast. They cut out everything.
His whole speech, that's so good. And they were like, goodbye.
Yeah.
I think that was the speech that made me like Mal in Shadow and Bone. I don't remember everything, but I remember there being a line, and I was like, "Damn, Mal! Like,
But
now
I
I have
remember
feelings for
that-
you."
In the show, he
No.
says, "Does it? No. He says, I thought it was in this scene. Wasn't it in the book in this scene with the stag where he says, I didn't see you before, but I see you now? And they put that
might have been.
scene like
I don't-
somewhere else, or
Yeah,
They
you-
did
I
have
think
it in the
they said it in the
show.
they did have it, but it wasn't with the stag. I think.
Oh, I think it was literally, like right before.
It was like right before when she had shown him, her power.
Oh yeah.
And he's like,
I like
no,
that
the
part.
power, but then
line-
like looking at her. being
Yeah, the line that I'm sad that got cut was the like even the part of you that loved
Loved him.
him.
That would have
That
been great.
scene is so good.
But I feel like that
Yeah.
wouldn't have made sense because they had like Darklina had such little screen time together that it was like if she claimed to have loved him or if Mal thought that she loved him, it wouldn't have made as much sense as in the book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I definitely wanted more
conflict.
like Dark Lena in the beginning half of the season, just because I don't know. I don't even know.
No,
how
I
to,
mean
like,
they set up this love triangle and then they didn't deliver the love triangle. They did a better job in the book, so I agree. Like we know what's supposed to be happening, but it's not really happening. So
even
Right.
just the whole little palace. I thought we were gonna have more training. I thought it was gonna be more
Yeah,
back and
because
forth.
they spent so much more time together in the books in the little palace.
Yeah,
And in the book and in the show it was just like kind of rushed their time
episode.
together.
Mm-hmm.
That I feel like when she's talking to Mal, she just like says, "Oh, I made some mistake. Oops." And it's like just that one thing. You don't see her like actually thinking that she's catching feelings for him or like
Mhm.
actually falling in love with him. You know.
Yes, exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
But I do love like we talked about. I don't know if we talked about this, but Mal was like, Alina was about to apologize for like falling in love with the Darkling or whatever, or just doing things with the Darkling because she regretted it. And then Mal was like, "You don't have to apologize for any of that. Like, you don't owe me an explanation." And I was just like, yes, this version of Mal is the best version of Mal, and the only version that I wish existed because the show Mal is just so likable.
Yeah.
Except doesn't he say something like that in the books?
But he
I don't
has
remember
the
it,
whole
But
he
it's
has
after they
that
had a
moment
fight,
after,
Yeah.
but he has that whole confrontation at the little palace first.
which I wanted. I wanted that conversation.
That drama
he-
is so good when he's
Yeah.
just in the little palace and he's like, I
You
can't
get up
believe
here.
luxury and not being tortured. And
Yeah,
then
my friends are guilty.
Yeah. And like I feel like we got more of his point of view in that argument in the show. So that's why it would have been so good to see kind of like them fight it out, I guess.
because they were
Because like
estranged
because
by
you definitely
outside.
see more of his side. So it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we can see how, this might be a little misconstrued if you walked in on this, but
Which is why I was.
yeah, I really wanted him to walk in when they were making out.
I love love triangle. And I was like, this is it. We're getting it. And it was.
But then maybe the Darkling would have just murdered him, So maybe
Yeah,
that shouldn't have happened.
it's almost
Mal's very good at not getting killed.
Oh my god, he gets like injured every
He
single
wouldn't have
episode.
Every
He
episode,
really
he's
did.
about to die.
It was crazy.
I mean,
Like
Well, I
if
think
that
they,
was real life,
do
he
that 'cause
wouldn't have
they wanted
survived the third episode. That's that on.
True.
He
True.
wouldn't
He
have
had to
made it.
crawl out of the frozen tundra with a bullet wound. There's no way.
this man.
it's when he
But
gets
anyway.
shot through the arrow after the stag
God.
and he still lives. And I'm just like, way to go.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I get that you want him to keep getting injured and, like, for whatever reason, but, like, stop putting him in, like, near-death experiences. Because then we're like, why is he still alive? When,
Yeah, like not bleeding
Even
out.
in episode 8, like, sorry, we're gonna jump around. I don't care. Like, the Heartrender literally does whatever he does to him. Why not just kill him? Why did he keep him alive? Like, why
Well, the Darkling says keep him alive.
did he? On the ship?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Ivan only loved the Darkling and Fedyor, and then he paid attention.
Oh, I don't remember. I don't remember him being like. I feel like after a certain point, the Darkling didn't care about Mal anymore because like he already has Alina's power and everything, so he could just kill Mal and like it wouldn't make a difference. But anyway, okay, yeah, let's talk about the stag. So I'm really upset with the Darkling decapitating the stag. Didn't like that. It was like
so sad.
It was
like,
so gross.
it was gross.
I was like, okay, I'm prepared to watch the stag die, this CGI stag, and then the stag died, and I was like crying. I was
Yeah.
like, what the heck?
It looked very real.
Yeah, I, was
I
like,
didn't
"Damn,
even
think it was gonna be
cry.
like
I was just in like I knew what was coming, but I still was just like, oh my god. And at the same thing, I don't know. Every time the cut happened, I literally was just like, ugh,
Yeah.
I don't like it.
The cut was really well done. It was so creepy. It was super
Yeah.
creepy and gross.
Yeah.
It was nasty.
I just,
Yeah.
and then like watching the stag like writhe in the snow as it's like laying there dying. I was like, this is the worst thing they could have done. Please,
I hated that.
Its
Okay,
little
my
eyeball, the
favorite-
close up on its eye. I'm like, stop. We don't want to see it.
When
I mean,
Stephanie
like,
said my favorite thing is the Darkling telling Alina in like episode 2, I only use the cut when I have to. And then he's
Everything.
It's like, okay, bro, we get it. You're powerful.
Which I'd like to point out, why did he waste time fighting Mal in the last episode? Like, just kill him. I don't get like all the choices they made, obviously because it's a show, but it literally
feel
didn't
like-
have to happen.
I feel like he was hoping that he would survive and that Mal would survive, and that he would continue to use him as leverage to get to Alina.
I thought he was being cocky, like he doesn't even need his powers to beat him. And
Yeah,
then
it must have been
you
like-
don't need your powers, but
It was toxic masculinity stuff then.
or it might be something leading up to Runin Rising where he senses something.
Gotta go read
not
that
in that
book again.
moment though. I don't know.
Like
I don't know. Well, do you think
I
that
don't know.
that could be it?
I think
Like,
I'm gonna have
is the explanation I think too is why Mal can't seem to die. Is that there's
Yeah.
something in him
Yeah.
that's keeping him out there.
Oh,
Just
I
saying.
Moon and Rising, huh?
Yeah,
Just
you gotta
saying.
read it, bud.
wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We got it.
Yeah. I
I
don't
have
want
to
to
go
spoil
reread it. I
it.
don't remember, but
I haven't
anyway,
read
yeah.
it. I'm behind.
Let
But
me just say that I
definitely-
was shook when that part came. I was not expecting it.
I love Ruin Rising.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I was not expecting it. Oh my god. It was
I
a
was
whole
waiting
thing
for
me.
it. I've been waiting for it for so long.
Really? You were expecting it? Like you had it figured out?
I had no idea.
not like figured out, but I was like, oh, is this thing that I've
I-
been wanting to happen?
Oh my god.
I knew there was something.
It didn't
I
even
just wasn't
cross my
sure
mind.
what. Yeah.
It was
Well,
incredible. But let's not spoil it.
Your power.
yeah, no more vague talking about it. But
Forgot what happened in Moon Rising.
catch up on the comments real quick. That was my overall issue with the show, is that all the plot lines, they accelerated a lot. Yeah, it just felt
It needed to be 3 episodes longer.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Yeah, because some of our favorite parts were at the little palace, like you said. You
Yeah,
know,
like,
and like that's one of the
I
best parts of
blinked.
Shadow and Bone.
I blinked. She had the realization that she didn't, like, Mal wasn't going to be there, and then she was levitating light. And I was like, that's the
Oh,
I
training.
was having
Yeah.
missed all of her training sessions with what's his name.
Oh, I love Botkin, and I
yeah, they
Where
turned
she's
it
just
out.
getting beaten up
Yeah.
And then
constantly.
since we didn't really get to like Botkin, eventually
Yeah.
there's no payoff.
Yeah.
I don't think we had enough time at, like, with the academy tropes. You know, you can, like, meet the people. Like, I didn't even feel sad when,
What's her face? Yeah.
Marie,
yeah, I was like, okay.
I low-key forgot that was her too. I was like, oh yeah, what?
I was
what?
like, I don't remember their name.
What's her name again? Botkin, y'all. Botkin really surprised me because I was like looking up characters and I saw that he only had 1 episode and I was like, what?
Yeah, that
And
they
like
could've-
10
and you know what?
minutes in that episode, you know?
It would have been great because, like, we have that scene where Botkin shows up and obviously Alina fights Zoya. It would have been really cool because she obviously got her ass kicked. But if during the stag scene, if they had to go like hand to hand for a bit, because Zoya does show up and she's like, "Oh, that's not your kill, Mal," and then she does whatever she does, and like if they had gone quickly hand to hand and she got like Alina got to best her or something somehow, just so we can see that she really has improved, because that training was literally nothing, and we could have used Botkin more so that she could improve in hand to hand combat as well.
Yes.
But that would have been a cool way to bring that back. But
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't.
Too, even at the end of like the little palace training sequence, she had one more scene with Botkin where they're like, "Oh, now she can kick someone's legs out from under them." You know, like I
Yeah.
think that would have been a cool moment too of
you
showing,
just surprised her, yeah.
yeah, that she has fully developed as a fighter in terms of that montage. Then I think it would have even felt less rushed if she had gotten more of like a physical combat moment than just here is her training with Bagra for 5 minutes. She's
Yeah.
fully-
And I feel like because we missed that, we also just missed a lot of the like overall Grisha theory in terms of like what their powers do, what like how it feeds them. Because she gets like a little bit of that realize. Oh, she's like, oh, that's why the Darkling lives so long. But like in the books, you realize, oh, she's been sick because she hasn't been using her powers, and
Right.
that's what the Grisha power does is it like fuels them, and them using it, the more you use it, the better, like the healthier you are. And so we like missed that whole sequence. So then when Mal says the thing about the like, oh, you have an appetite, we never really got that she didn't have an appetite at the beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. I thought that was weird that they even kept that line in because there's no context for it.
Yeah, and I always found one of the most interesting things about Shadow and Bone was the Grisha theory itself, and like all of the stuff about like they don't make things, they just like use what already exists, and all of that I found super interesting. And then it was like reduced like one line of like, this is Grisha theory, and we're moving on.
Yep.
And also,
Like,
we
it's a
just
small
missed
sign.
her getting to know other Grisha and like
Yeah.
getting acquaintances and just a lot of other people and forming emotional connections to like side characters. But I feel like a lot of people that just casually, because I feel like we need to, like, every time that we're talking about the show, I feel like we need to separate people that have read the books and people that are just like casually watching. And I feel like a lot of people that are just watching the show just don't care about that type of stuff, you know? And I feel like that's why Netflix is just trying to like spit it up, like the training montage and all that, because I feel like people that are just casually watching just want action and they just like don't really want to watch the build up, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think such a big part of it is Alina trying to like fit in and wanting to fit in. And
I think so too, but I feel like people that are just like, they're like, oh, we have 8 episodes, like we're not going to waste, there's so much plot that we're not going to waste time like with the
Exactly,
training
building.
and her meeting other people, and it's like, okay,
Right.
let's just hurry this along.
yeah,
I guess if it was set on 8
in
it
that
makes
context,
sense,
yeah,
but
yeah.
I feel like it would be
It
helpful.
It would have benefited for
It
sure.
would make the show stronger if they did
For
have
sure.
those parts, because even if you haven't read the books, that's what makes like the audience like want to understand it, you know? They're like, oh yeah, we saw this thing and like that means that, blah blah blah. And like I know we've talked about it being like Game of Thrones before, just like kind of like the fandom sort of. But that's like what, because when I first started watching Game of Thrones, I had not read the books. And like those are the kind of little details, you know, that I was like, ooh, yeah, this means that, and blah blah blah. So I feel like if they had just had like a little bit more, you know, then people who hadn't read the books would have cared. Like they would have wanted it, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
But
I
because
would've
it's so
loved
like
to see it.
glazed over, they're just like kind of like, okay, we get what we get.
Even
Well,
if
I
it
would've
was
loved to
some
see it.
sort of like, what were
they
you going to say,
did
Katie?
well, they go into, in the books, they talk a lot about Merzost and stuff, which is like, you know, what the Darkling does wrong. And they barely touch on it in the show. So you don't even realize why what he's doing is so terrible, because it breaks every law that the Grisha theory has.
Right.
And then, you know, and then it's like, oh, now there's less payoff.
Yeah,
and
they don't
went
really
into
talk-
that too. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say they don't talk about like amplifiers all that much. Like they don't say, oh yeah, you can only have one amplifier. They don't say that at all. They don't say like, they completely cut out the line of like calls to like, which I feel like is a huge
It's such an
overall.
important.
Explains why at the end, pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's what I was gonna say is like that whole first part of the 7th episode, right? We're all like, why is this in here? You know, like why do we have this? We want to make the Darkling more human. You could have used that 20 minutes or like however long it is, I don't even know, to like build in like the fact about the dark like magic that he creates, you know, like the fact about the amplifiers, the fact, you know, all these other questions that we kind of need a little bit more clarification on. I'm like, we didn't need him to have that
in the
plot
book
line.
I remember I didn't feel betrayed, but I just felt hurt when I found out like the Darkling really isn't gonna be like
that guy.
Like he's really that guy, you know?
Yeah.
So like I felt like that reveal would have been so good.
Strong. It would have been so much stronger.
But I was just like,
who cares?
I wasn't even confused. Are we calling him the Darkling or are we calling him General Azargon? I don't know his name.
I find it so weird. It's so weird because I do have friends who've watched the show who haven't read the books, and they'll be like, oh yeah, and then the general, and I'm like, who? Because I still call him the Darkling when I refer to him. But people who haven't read the books just call him General Kurgan, and I think that is so weird.
It's so weird because he's an actual character in the books later on. And it's so weird to me. I'm like, why?
They have to have a point. There needs that. I just don't
think,
know.
I mean, we have talked about it before, but
I actually kind of like that the darkling as a term has become an insult in the show. I think it's much more interesting. Because when there's like a part in episode 8 where Mal calls him the darkling, and like you can like see it on Ben Barnes's little face where he's like, I hate you.
Yeah, and that's especially why he tells her in like the first couple of episodes, my name's Alexander. Like that's the point of that, because he's like, oh, I don't want to be the darkling. Like I want to be the savior. I don't want to be the one who created all this.
I still hate that they did it, but yes.
I still don't like it.
Because when I was reading the books for the first time, the second that the Darkling was introduced as the Darkling, I was like, oh, villain, got it. Check. Like,
obviously, like, you know?
It was like when Darth Vader walks in and you're like, oh, Darth Vader, villain.
Like,
check.
what were they thinking?
Well, my thing with the Darkling is so have y'all watched Frozen, the movie?
Yeah.
I just need to make sure, because some people haven't. You know the whole thing with Han. You haven't?
I haven't. Not in totality. I've seen parts of it.
Every live stream we expose JLo for not watching. So quite mainstream.
Yeah, have you started Stranger Things?
Every time.
I'm not like
I think it's gonna be a great time for you. I can't wait.
You should do it.
God, the pressure. Okay. But back to what Catherine was saying.
I was just gonna say, I think that it's so funny though, because when you read the books, it's like, okay, he's introduced and you're like, villain, his name is the Darkling, and then you start to like him and you're like, oh, maybe he's not the villain, maybe he's like actually good, and then he like does the reveal and you're like, I played myself.
And you're like, I should have known his name is Darkling. I should have known where this was going. And I still have faith.
Yeah, but that's how twisted we are nowadays. We're
like, you know what?
Daddy is the goodie.
He's just called that by the people, not because, you know.
But you know,
like I don't know him like everyone knows him.
He's a murderer.
He's a murderer.
With me reading the book so late, I had already heard, like, the Darkling is crazy, the Darkling is so terrible, and people who like the Darkling are weird, and da-da-da-da. But, like, I still managed to fall a little bit in love with him during that book. And even though I was like, I just thought people were wrong. I just thought people were over-exaggerating what he had done until the end, obviously, when he's literally an insane psychopath.
Yeah.
But I was like, the whole time I was just like, oh, is this it? Is this all that's so bad about him? Because honestly, he just needs love. He needs to be understood. And I was wrong, obviously.
Jill was going to save him. She's going to save him. She was going to teach him.
I feel like in the show, you do really see, though, the moment that he's no longer redeemable is when he puts the collar on her.
Oh,
I agree, yeah.
Ooh, that was good.
And we need to talk about the collar.
Yeah, how do you guys feel
such a big change.
I
hate it, but I like it.
I was like, okay, we get it. It's practically.
I couldn't handle the collar.
I hate it. But as a tool, I think it is phenomenal. Like the process.
It definitely makes the situation so much more horrible. Like, oh, you really did that to her? Like, it's not even just you imprisoned her. Oh, you made her neck all ugly? Gross. Like, how dare you?
Yeah, I was like, it's not a necklace?
Ugly.
I thought it was going to be a necklace.
It was so ugly. And the fact that literally it took 2 seconds to fix it when Ginya gets in there, I'm like, come on, man. You couldn't have just fixed it from the beginning.
Like, come on, David.
That little piece of skin, y'all, I could not get over it.
You had one job, David, and it was just to fuse them together.
Okay, that scene where David's doing it literally made me cry the other day when I was rewatching it because, okay, like this is like later in the books where he talks about this moment like in hindsight, and essentially you can see on his face he doesn't want to be there, and I was just like weeping.
Yeah,
Catherine.
Also, the thing that they put on the Darkling's hand, like the little piece,
the bone.
That was so weird.
Yeah, that was so ugly as well. I couldn't take it.
It was like a giant, gross scab, and I'm like, I don't need this.
I'm like, you're gonna live like that forever? When somebody literally grabs your hand and like wants to hold your hand, I'm gonna feel a bone shard. Is that what's happening?
No. He doesn't want people to touch him.
He's not gonna have no one shaking his hand.
Well, those are things I think about.
They're all gonna bow down.
Basically.
But then it is pretty cool in episode, I mean, this is kind of skipping forward, but in episode 8, when she stabs it out of his hand.
I
was
started
so
laughing
cool.
so hard.
badass.
That was nasty.
You go, girl. I was
it
like,
off
get
like a
that crap
bottle
out
cap.
there. It's nasty. Mm.
Because I wasn't
so
sure
badass.
how they were going to do that, like how they would do that visually,
Mhm.
of her resisting him. And so seeing that as like a visual representation of her resisting his control, I thought that was so cool. It was
I also-
disgusting,
that was so
but
annoying,
cool.
though.
In that same scene, Catherine, I don't like that she slurped the antlers into her body. That was really scary.
Wait, why?
Because
I feel it's not very.
I
I feel
didn't
it's not
like
very that noticeable.
that she like sucked them all the way in. They went all the way in that scene, right?
Yeah. Well,
Or
yeah,
am
it
I-
became
They
part
go
of
in
her.
after.
I mean, that looked better
How
than
did I
this
not
one.
notice that?
Yeah, when she reclaims her power, she slurps them all the
I mean,
way in.
Well, that's it.
What
Slur.
I'm saying slurp though. She
Katie,
it,
that's not the word.
Slur.
Hold
it
on.
dissolves.
Like
It
Alina
goes
was the most annoying in the
Wait.
lead up until her cutting off his little thing, his bone shard.
She's very reactionary. What do you mean?
Like no, like her whole like attitude, how she's like, I can't do this. I'm weaker than you. You know, like she's on the ground, like you
Yeah,
know,
that
Oh,
part
yeah.
is
was
her
bothering
butt
me.
beat. I was like, girl, you are the sun summoner. Come
Ta-da.
on. It took her way too long to get it together. Way too long, in my opinion.
I do have to agree. That whole writhing on the floor. There's just a lot of Mal and her staring at each other being on the floor. I'm like, yo, get up.
Get up. Yeah,
You're like, stop it. You've got powers, honey.
I'm like, how
Get
is
up,
Inej
sweetie.
and the Six of Crows doing more right
Yeah,
now?
I was like, how in the heck is Inej and Zoya up in here fighting off the Volcra with Kaz?
Yeah.
Yes.
And Jester was going hand in hand with the
Kaz
Heartrender.
literally comes in and he says, not my bitch. Boom. Like, what's happening right now? Okay, but Alina's over here like, not me. I'm just
Yeah.
Wait, I'm like rewatching the scene right now
Right
because
now?
I don't remember her slurping the
Stop
power.
saying slurping. She
Oh my
they
God,
fuse
we're gonna
fully
have
into her body.
out from this. Yes. Like, I need to.
It's a little thing.
I know. Yeah, I'm sorry. You know what I meant.
I don't
You're welcome.
Some
I
wonderful
don't
work.
see it.
When she uses her power after that, when she's like, I know who I am
she
or
uses
what I
the
am.
power. There it is.
And then it's a little bit after that it goes.
How do you claim such power?
What was that?
I am the one who killed the stag. I'm reenacting it for you
Freaking eye
guys.
roll.
Thank you.
Like calls to like.
You
That's when
cannot
that line
claim
should
what
have
was
went in
given
there, but
me.
whatever.
The stag chose me.
Okay, so while you're looking
Whoa.
for that, Catherine,
She's
Oh my god,
reenacting.
she
about
totally
the boat
did. How did I
situation.
not notice
Catherine,
that?
you watched it
before?
3 times. You didn't notice how she slurped.
No.
It's not a slurp. It's going
Please, let's
It
ban that word.
slides
into her body.
Please, I need to
It
ban
like
the word slur.
slides into her body. That's so nasty.
Why?
I'm gonna vomit
Anyway.
on the slide.
Okay. So what are your thoughts? What did you say about it? Why did you bring it up? I can't remember.
Oh, because I don't think I don't know. I what I like so much about the second 2 books is how the collar becomes a physical representation of the hold that
What
the
she
darkling still
survived.
has on her. And so now that it is slurped into her chest, what is she? How are they going to represent that like weird? I don't know how they're going to handle it. I mean,
They
but I'm also
can't.
not brain in the show.
Yeah, the fact that people can't see it, that's so weird.
That
It's
was
still
such
gonna
a
happen.
I
weird
feel like they're
thing,
gonna
like,
change
too.
the next
Oh no! And
amplifier as well.
I just thought about Ruin and Rising at the very, very end. I'm not going to say what happens, but how are they going
Yeah.
to do that? Oh,
Yeah, no, I don't.
now
I don't know if they thought that far ahead.
I don't know if they're gonna change the other amplifiers as well, like the second one. I don't know if they're gonna change how it looks as well and how
I can't even remember what they do with the other ones because the collar is just so memorable.
The bracelet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so got bracelets.
She gets
Do you
all.
think they're gonna
two.
change it into
She
something
gets-
gross again, or do
They
you
better
think they're
not.
gonna
I
stay
can't
with
handle
it?
it.
Well, because they show, I mean, they never, that's the thing, they never talk about it, but they do show Zoya's amplifier.
Yeah.
And it's like
Ivan
in
has
her.
one. I caught today that Ivan has one, or maybe Fedyor. One of them
Oh.
has one in the back of their hand.
I didn't
Yeah.
see it.
I don't know. I feel like they just should have explained more.
Stephanie, now that I have slurps in my head,
For
ruined.
sure. It's over. It's over.
I have not done a rewatch, and now I'm like, that's all I'm gonna be thinking.
You're
welcome.
I'll probably
think
make
I was
it.
So,
Yeah, I will be watching.
I wanted to go back to something that Stephanie. Oh, sorry, I didn't hear you. What'd you say?
Sorry. Oh, I was just saying, I think I was too focused on other things that I
There's
did
a lot
not.
going on in that scene. To be
Yeah,
fair.
I didn't catch it the first time, and then someone pointed it out to me, and I said, "What? She does what now?" And then I watched it again, and I was like, "Oh, she does do that."
She does.
I remember that happening, but I don't remember that sound effect.
It wasn't there. I want to go back to what Stephanie said about Zoya being cool with Alina. I hated the hug they had at the end. I like turned to my friend again. I watched this on Zoom. I don't know why I keep saying turn to them, but I told my friend, no, they didn't need to hug. This is too much. They need to stop. And then immediately after that, Zoya says, "I still don't like you." And so I'm like, yeah, you don't have to make them like each other. They don't have to be friends. I didn't need this.
Alina,
Yeah, I like the conversation, but the hug was too much.
dude, Alina
Wow.
pretty much hates Zoya for the entire trilogy.
Yeah.
Not until like page 200 of Ruin and Rising, where she's like, maybe Zoya is fine. Like, and even then, she's like, maybe she can stick around. Like, she's not like we're besties,
Yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm
that
fine
was
with it that way.
and it works.
I think they were trying to do the same thing that we kind of touched on with Kaz, you know, like they want you to like them all.
Mhm.
I don't know. There are mean girls that you can
we want to
hate
have a
with that you-
season 2 POV or like what, but like they definitely wanted us to like them all, even the Darkling, you know. So
Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to like everyone.
we
I
really
like
don't.
disliking characters.
Yes,
And they
We
all
love
do
it.
that in other
Characters
ways.
are good. Like unlikable characters make a story as well. Like just as
Yeah.
likable characters do.
Yeah,
Well,
And
and
they
then
do that in
looking at,
other ways. Like you find out Zoya has family in West Ravka, and they just get decimated by the fold because the Darkling kills them all. And so she's just sitting there like, that's my family that just got killed. So like we can feel sympathy for her and not
Yeah.
like her at the same
Isn't
time.
that when Kaz says like don't go looking for
yeah, that was
Yeah.
a good
I
line. That was a great Kaz moment in my
I loved it.
because that's
Mhm.
the most
I loved it.
Kaz vulnerable that book Kaz gets. Like book Kaz says, as I was reading the duology recently, I realized how much Kaz says without actually saying exactly what he's like the truth. Where it is the truth, but he's lying by omission. Essentially, he's like, this isn't the whole story, but I know from experience. Like, don't look for the dead. Don't do, you know, like.
I
he's
love that
honest
moment.
So that line, I was like, that's Kaz right there.
Yeah. The other Kaz moment where I was like, this is Kaz is when it's when him and Inej are talking and they're like, okay, we're gonna go across and we're just going to Ketterdam. And she's like, okay, we're just going across, right? And he's like, yes, we're just going across the fold. And she's like, we aren't messing with Alina, we're just going across the fold. And he's like, yes. And then he like makes sure that Inej sees Alina being led by the Darkling, and Inej is like, okay, we'll help Alina.
Yeah.
now I want
love
to actually
Impossible.
help her.
Catherine,
that was
I
my
also
thought.
think impossible text tone.
oh my god.
I wanted it, but I didn't
The
know how to
wave of
get it.
nostalgia that I just got from listening to that, from like hearing.
Did you pay
was-
for it?
No, I just downloaded it. People pay for text tones now.
Well,
I
I
would
couldn't
never.
figure out. I tried to download it from my phone, but I couldn't figure out how to do it without paying. Anyway, I'll ask you about this later. But
Yeah,
anyway.
clear. But yeah, I felt like that was just a very Kaz thing where he's like, "Oh yeah, we'll do this thing. It'll be fine." And then he like makes sure that someone sees something, and they're like, "Okay, well now we have to rescue Alina. She isn't here by her own free will." So, yeah.
Yeah, because Kaz is always running a game inside of a game. You know?
Mhm.
So that's
Did
his
do that well.
signature.
Yeah, I really hope they just. I hope they're just bracelets. I really can't take much more of that grossness
They're definitely
in the
gonna be
special
like
effects.
first amplifier like hanging out of her skin, but I hope we don't have to watch them get sucked into her wrist. Like
Why is that the part that bothers you so much?
I
It
don't
was for
like
me
it.
it coming out, not going in to normal.
I'm
Yeah, when it stopped and it was like out like this, I was like, that's it. It's not going any farther.
She brought it up every 40
I'm
seconds.
sorry. I'm a visual
did he
person.
stop?
It's disgusting.
Why
was
did
looking
David stop? Why didn't he finish the job?
I have
I
no
don't-
idea, but don't
it
you
made-
get mad at him. He didn't want to be there. He deserves
I think it's supposed to be like he
I
owns
mean,
her.
David isn't focused on making things look
Pretty.
pretty.
Yeah,
He's
that's
there
what I
to
was
make
thinking.
them like fuse to her body.
Right.
Fair.
That's why him and Jenya are such good balances, you know?
I need him to be into aesthetics, but it's fine. I guess I can't fault him. He had one
I'm
job.
sorry,
He did his job.
Katie.
You wound me. The line when David says you should have control over her power in theory, and then it's
Yeah.
like you know he knows. Like
Yeah.
you know that he knows for sure, but he's like, to make myself feel better about this awful thing that I just had to do because I was groomed by this man since I was a child. In theory. And I'm like, I'm in pain.
God. And is there some more stuff in King of Scars that I really just
Oh
don't?
yeah.
Oh,
Wow,
One of the Wolves
okay.
especially.
I'm
Oh my
willing to
God.
pick this up.
No spoilers, no spoilers.
soon. No, we're not talking spoilers, but
Yeah, no, we won't.
okay,
Rita,
moving
Am I
on.
gonna- Just tell
Rita,
me this.
look,
Am I gonna cry?
We don't talk about it. We don't talk about it.
Am I gonna cry?
Yes, we will, Rita.
I didn't cry, but I should have. There's something wrong with me.
I cried for 3 weeks.
I
Guys,
just,
am I
Katie
gonna
still
cry?
texts me crying.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just gonna put this away.
God, I had no idea it was gonna get so dark in there. Interesting.
Everyone's
Dude,
It's just like I just really think that I was in shock the whole time, and that's why I didn't react the way I should have. I was just like, oh,
Fair.
Wait, is Nikolai still gonna be funny?
no one can tell you anything. No one can tell you anything.
We're not
I
spoiling.
You just have to read it, my friend.
I actually
Okay.
think you reacted appropriately. I think that a lot of people reacted way too complicated.
Yeah. I need to talk to you after, like in a
Mhm.
separate thing, but
We'll
Yeah.
chat.
yeah.
I'm worried.
No,
Don't
don't
be
be worried.
Genuinely, don't be.
Yeah, don't be worried.
From the deepest place of my heart, don't be. I feel like I scared so many people, but like, don't be scared.
I mean,
All
that's
right.
not to say stuff
I
isn't
have that
bad,
feeling,
but,
you know,
like,
when
it's
people
fine.
talk about chapter 40 of Crooked Kingdom and everybody's just like, dun dun dun, and everybody just knows what it is. I feel like you guys just know what it is, and I just don't, and I just feel so
Yeah.
helpless.
We can't not worry until we're reading it. So
Just
Yeah,
read
don't-
it.
Don't even think about it. Just read it. Just experience it. You'll
If
be
I
fine.
somehow get spoiled for that, I will never read any book.
For
yes,
sure.
let's all shut up about it. Let's all move on to. I
Oh,
want to
you
talk about.
don't need
Even
to
read
read
Rude and
Right.
Rising yet.
We will say no more. But I want to talk about Alina and Genya in the tent because I really like the line that Alina says after she finds out all that Genya's sabotaged.
Mhm.
And she's like, the king deserves your vengeance, but Kerrigan doesn't deserve your loyalty. And it's one of the reasons that I don't like her, like, because Alina's right. You didn't have to do everything you did after you poisoned the king. I feel like, Katie, you definitely have thoughts on this. So, yeah, let's go.
I do. I actually sent Catherine a video of me crying over this scene when I was watching it today.
Jesus
It was
Christ.
just a picture. I sent her a picture, and so I was cleaning my room. I was like bagging my trash, and the scene was playing, and then all of a sudden, I just like tears filled my eyes, and I had sent Catherine a selfie. I was like, "Look at these tears; they're for Genya." And essentially, what makes Genya's story so sad to me, especially in that scene, is that she still thinks the Darkling is a good guy. And it takes Siege and Storm for her to realize he's not. And it's just because of how much grooming and abuse, essentially like underlying abuse, the Darkling put all of the Grisha through for their entire lives. Because she's like, oh, I was given to the queen at 11. And then you're like, well, how long did it take for the king to start looking at her? How young was she then? And how young did she think, oh, this is all part of my position? And like, it's those things of like the Darkling should have pulled her out of that situation, like if he was a good guy, but instead it was like, no, you can have this abuse for my gain. And so she still thinks, oh, I'm a soldier, this is what soldiers go through, and it makes me very
Like
And
that,
I think it
she
comes
also,
out later in the books as well, where I mean, I don't know how much of this we're going to get, but the amount of times that I'm sure the Darkling was like, you are our spy. You're so important in the position that you're in. So just suck it up, basically.
Mhm.
And so and I think she got to the Little Palace when she was like 5. So
Yeah.
she's been there for a
she's
very
long
at
time.
them for her entire life, and so she doesn't know. Like, that's a big contrast between Alina and everyone else. Is essentially that everyone else was brought to the Little Palace before the age of 10, so they don't know any better. They think the Darkling is this fantastic role model that cares so much about them. But Alina, who doesn't even get there until in the book, she's 17. I don't know how old she's supposed to be in the show, but like in the book, she's 17. So she automatically, well, not automatically, but she sees faster what the Darkling is actually doing through her friends. And so that's, I think, the most interesting contrast between that in that conversation is that Jenya doesn't know. She doesn't realize that she deserves better at that moment. Whereas Alina's like, you don't need to go through this. And she just doesn't realize.
Yeah, because it's hard to be on the inside for so long.
Yeah. And like going back to what Catherine said too, like, so the Darkling like grooms Genya, right, the whole time.
Mhm.
And she just wants to be like, she wants to be a soldier, right? But the whole time that she's there at the Little Palace, she's in the white kefta. Like, she's not technically a soldier. She's kept apart from everybody. And you know that the Darkling was like, if you just do this, then you will be a soldier. It's like conditional love. So it's like that part sucked so much more seeing that in the show. Because I was like, oh man, she just wanted that red kefta so bad. And she can't even see how tough it is for Alina.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
I fully start sympathizing with her more because of her little, I don't know if it's a monologue necessarily, but that conversation they have. And I'm just like, damn, like she really just wanted to belong and she wanted to feel like she fit in and she's been isolated so long. And so like, yes, the show makes me like her more, like I've said already, but in the books, I guess I didn't really see what you're talking about. Yeah.
The thing with Jenya too that I feel like got erased a little bit was how much in the book no one likes Jenya. None of the other Grisha think she can sit with them. None of the other Grisha talk to her. There's rumors that fly around her all the time.
Because she's like the pet of the queen,
And so that totally got erased because there's that one scene where Nadia and Marie are doing Alina's hair and then they walk in, they're like, hi, Jenya. And like that, he was like, ooh, they erased that. So I think too with Jenya is that she wants to be accepted so bad because she's never had friends in the Little Palace. And then she gets a friend and then she has to betray her. And like this whole thing of like her pull of like, I need to be a soldier though. The greater acceptance of me is more important than this one friend.
Right.
And I think that's a really interesting Jenya moment that kind of got erased because we didn't get to see how much of an outsider Jenya is because she's a servant instead.
Yeah, that really sucks. Like, again, I didn't mind her in Shadow and Bone. It was only after the whole betrayal thing that I was like, okay, she can't redeem herself in my eyes. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't think about all the backstory and what it really means that she's been there so long and that the Darkling presumably did know about what was happening to her and just said, like, you just got to keep doing the job.
Yeah.
So that really.
Gold star at the end.
Ugh, yeah.
Yeah, it's gross.
But yeah. I don't know. Any other thoughts on that scene or that conversation they had?
I genuinely have like a daily meltdown about Jenya and how she deserves better. So I have all of these bullet points in my head about her.
I would love to read that essay. Go ahead and write it.
Oh God.
Don't tempt me.
What else happens in this episode? I wrote down, I really have to watch the show with that ugly collar on for the rest of it. And okay, yeah. Oh, so we can just go into, like, we've already been talking about episode 8, but I really love when they get on the boat. Oh, what is it? It's a skiff, right?
Yeah.
The K? Okay. I really love when they're on and in the undercarriage and the crows are talking and then Inej wanders off and then she finds Mal and just has a knife to his throat. I just really love that scene. It's like, yes, Inej, you're sneaking off, so quiet, nobody can hear you, and just there's suddenly a knife to Mal's throat. I just love how they did that, and I loved them kind of working together. And then when Kaz was like, it would be stupid to go out there right now with everything that's going on, and then Mal's like, I never said I was smart. And so I love that part.
And he really wasn't, because what happened next?
Immediately captured. You're like, sir, you didn't have to do that.
I mean,
true.
Went up there with no plan.
Zero thoughts, just head into just Alina.
Yeah.
Just Alina.
I'm in love.
I
He could have been a little
think
smooth.
I think that the Mal-Kaz dynamic was something I didn't realize I wanted so bad.
Yeah.
Because they're so different, and yet they both have like a loyalty complex to them deep inside. And it's so funny because I feel like a lot of people forget or choose to, like the Mal haters choose to forget that in the beginning of Siege and Storm, Mal is genuinely able to like comedically keep up with Sturmhond for like a good chunk of the book. And so I think that their banter dynamic was really fun to watch, and they did a good job with it.
Yeah.
I just have on glasses when it comes to Mal in the books because I don't remember him being funny at all. I don't remember him being any sort of likable in Siege and Storm. So I don't know. I must have blocked it all out.
With him and Stormhond, they're a good time together.
They're buddies. Homie.
Mhm.
Don't remember this.
I
Oh,
remember
I just
that.
like reread the
Huh.
first
Go back and
4
read it.
chapters of Siege and Storm. They're buddies.
I will, because I love that. Like, I love him.
Until okay.
Until
Mhm.
And that I remember that because I remember them being like chummy and they're like friends. And then all of a sudden, you know, the stuff
Yeah.
happens. And he's like, wait a minute, wait, what?
Yeah.
We're not cool anymore.
like,
I think it's interesting that you like their dynamic, the Kaz and Mal dynamic, because I see a lot of like Kaz and Sturmhond or Sturmhold, whatever. I like see a lot of them being similar in ways, just in like being like playing a game in a game and being like funny and like, you know, kind of like smart, quick. So I think that's cool that they kind of put that in the show as maybe like kind of like a little preview of what we're gonna get next season.
God,
Yeah,
hope
I
so.
also
I
like
definitely
that.
think in another life, Kaz and Sturmhond were best friends. Like,
Yeah.
definitely in another life, those two caused problems together.
Yes. Like Loki, are you guys related? Like you could be cousins, honestly. But anyway,
Wait, let me ask you guys a question. What do you think? I know that we're still not finished talking about episode 8, but I was just thinking about this the other day. What do you think is going to happen next season? Do you think that when this season of the heist with the Six of Crows will come, it'll be like a separate thing from Shadow and Bone, or are they still going to like
I
I think they'll find some way to
tie it together?
combine, like have the Param be something that also affects like Alina's plot line. I feel like they're gonna
maybe
have
the-
some
But I
way.
think it'd be different,
Darkling will be going after it.
I don't think they're going to do the ice court until season 3 at the earliest, because at the end of episode 8, they're already talking about what Kaz needs to fix in Ketterdam. He needs to get the Crow Club back. He needs to deal with Pekka Rollins in this moment. And like he has a couple things he really needs to handle that I feel like that's their season 2. I think they're going to hang out with Mal and Alina for like maybe an episode and a half. And then they're going to keep
Then they're just gonna like cut between like the Shadow and
like here
okay.
is them in a second prequel story of them. And maybe we get to meet Wylan. Maybe we get to, you know, that starts to play in, but I don't going to do Ice Court until at least 3.
But,
Maybe
but do you guys like that? Like them
I
having
like
their
that.
own plot line and then just like switching between? Or would you guys like prefer?
I would
I
prefer
feel like they'll find
Preferably.
yeah, I would like a separate Six of Crows thing, but I'm okay with the second prequel because there's so many storylines. Like we still need to see the background of like Inej, Jesper, like literally all of our characters, low-key. So like we got a little bit of that, but definitely a spinoff for the major plot of Six of Crows.
I think if they just, after the Ruin and Rising season, if they just completely shift and they go, here we go, here we're going to the Ice Court.
Oh my god, I hope they do that.
Maybe they're like, oh, here's what's going on in Ravka, like once an episode, and then there's like a little bit of like some stuff with the Ravka, like politics. They have like a little bit of it just to keep you entertained. So maybe we get some King of Scars stuff down the line.
Yeah.
I feel like
But
the further we get into the books, the harder it'll be. Like the more characters appear in the Shadow and Bone universe, the harder it'll be to give also screen time to the Six of Crows.
I don't know. I think actually after the Ruin and Rising season, I think we're going to kiss a few characters goodbye for a really long time.
No. But I'm talking about, for example, like in the next season.
Oh, in the next one? Oh, yeah, I'm overwhelmed.
No, I
think
agree
it
with
would
you,
be so
Rita.
hard to like because like the more characters that appear in Siege of Storm, which are a lot more characters and a lot more plot and a lot more happening, how are they going to like divide it equally or like?
I mean, it
put
wasn't
it
divided equally in
together?
this season either.
The thing is, though,
I mean, yeah.
like 60% of Siege and Storm is the dullest part of the Grisha trilogy. So I think they're
Zero
gonna.
strongly disagrees. Like, but I
mean,
didn't
okay, like
Siege of
no.
Storm.
To be clear, I gave Siege and Storm a 3.5. I didn't think it was a
I
very,
didn't
very
like Siege of
amazing.
Storm.
There's
But I
that-
did think it was the best of
I like the
the.
characters, but the plot was just so boring to me.
I like the characters we introduced, and but
Yeah.
I hate any time we spend at the Little Palace. Like I personally find the Little Palace so boring. I hate being at the Little Palace. So that happened in Siege and Storm and in Shadow and Bone, and those are probably my least favorite parts. So I can see why people would say that.
There's
but-
just a chunk of Siege and Storm where they're pretty much doing nothing. And except like, you know, establishing that Alina is now kind of like a more powerful being for the Grisha. And like that's like an episode. Like like 200 pages of Siege and Storm is maybe like an episode.
Oh, so you think that in the next season they're gonna already combine Siege and Storm and Ruin and Rising?
No.
Oh,
No,
okay.
it'll be like the major plot of Siege and Storm. That'll be the focus. So it'll be like the show, but then they'll have like more of the background of the Six of Crows characters and like their storylines weaved into it. And
because
Okay.
Nina has to get what's his name out of jail.
right. She's going to be doing that and doing her story like that time period, but before the ice court. That will be in the next season.
Can
or the
someone
next season after that.
explain? Can someone explain to me why Cass says they need a heart render at the end of episode 8? I didn't understand what their new
Heart render at episode 8. That's all part of I think what they're going into with the next thing. That's his new.
But I just
But why? I know.
But
I get
why
what Taylor's
even-
asking, like why exactly in that moment? Like, what is he planning that he needs a heart render for?
Well,
I know it's foreshadowing, but like,
I think
like,
he's. I think what they're doing is they're essentially. We don't know the plan. We won't know the plan until probably
Okay,
forever. But I think what they're doing is the writers are like, oh, they need a heart render because they're like, oh, Kaz is gonna need a heart render because we need Nina to join them. That's what I think.
I get that. I don't know. I thought there was maybe some context in the conversation that I missed because it just seemed like him randomly saying it instead of
He
saying.
used a
no,
heart
they're-
render earlier
they're-
in the season.
Just-
So
yeah.
it would
They're-
to me it's like he's already used a heart render. He knows they're valuable and like they can help whenever they do whatever, like a heist or whatever. So to me it was like, oh, like we don't have this one that we used before, so we need to find one because
Well,
that's going to be our
Like, we
ticket.
need this in our arsenal.
Right, like we need you know how whenever you do a heist you've got like the person who does the bombs and the person who does, you know, the muscle and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and
So I
just
think-
before that, like we need more people, and he's like,
Yeah.
no, we don't. And then he's like, well, we kind of need a heart render for my next plan that I'm sort of using to get back at Pekka Rollins and get back the Crow Club and pay off the indenture. Like I think that's where they're going with that. And
Yes, Catherine.
Catherine, I
mean,
was gonna
Ben,
say
excuse me.
the whole
Catherine,
darkling.
you don't
You
need
don't
to. You don't need to.
Because what they're planning is because they now have to make sure that what's his name, whoever hired them, I can't remember who the heck hired them for to get Alina. So now they have to try and make sure they don't get because they made a deal with the guy to get Alina.
Right.
And so now
They
that
do
they've
not
let
have
Alina
Alina.
escape, they're
Yeah.
trying to like be like, oops, sorry, we don't have that sun summoner. And they also have to try and make sure they get the Crow Club back. So they like that's what that conversation is.
well, they have to. I think that's gonna be the plot of season 2 is they have to get out
Yeah.
of that with Dreesen.
But that's why they need a heart render, and that's why they need a heart render who doesn't have any loyalties to any of the other gangs or anything, is because they need someone to help them like calm people down and manipulate and see who's lying and whose loyalties are to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I got from that conversation.
Yeah.
To answer that question,
Oh, that
we
makes
aren't
sense.
going to know until we get to season 2, but yeah.
Well, and
Whatever
that
helps them
also
get
pushes the
together.
plot of season 2 because then he can be like, okay, we've got to go get this heart render from
Yeah.
XYZ place. So
Yeah, because I
That'll be
don't
the
think
secret.
Nina's gonna immediately jump in on their conversation, you know.
Yeah.
But she's definitely like, I think Nina is going to I don't know. Maybe no. I think that Nina's gonna start with her trying to get Matthias out, and then realizing, oh, the Kirch legal system is a wreck, and I can't get him out. And then she's gonna be like, oh, well, I guess I should join these guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think because in the books,
They'll
it talks
want them.
about how Nina
Yeah.
asks Kaz like time and time again to help her get Matthias out.
Right.
And
But
so
let's
I
not
think
spoil too much for Monique. I know that's not really like
Oh.
a spoiler, but
That's chapter one.
The whole time.
Chapter
that's in like the first 2
leave stuff for her
chapters.
to read. Yeah.
But I think that it's going to be like Nina joining the Crows, and there's going to be some sort of deal where she's like, "I'll help you if you help me," type deal.
Yeah.
So
Do you feel like
that's
we're gonna
probably
see a lot of
that
gathers
first
Matthias?
contact. Yeah, we
I'm
see that
so
first
ready for
contact
that
at the end of the show of them meeting. So
Do you feel like we're gonna get a lot of Matthias in second season? Because I
No.
don't think so.
I feel like if we do, it'll be like short. It'll be, a hell
Which is
scene.
upsetting because I like
Yeah.
him. But
Yeah,
Oh my
you're
God,
gonna
follow
realize
him.
It's not possible.
Yeah. It'll just be to set the scene of where he is and how horrible it is. And maybe even a scene with Nina trying to get him, as Catherine was saying, like by herself and realizing, shit, I need help.
Mhm.
So
Mhm. I
And
think too,
bringing up
maybe there'll be court scenes with Matthias in them at the very beginning of the season, just to edge up their dynamic. A little spicy. anger.
reminds you how much he hates her.
yeah.
No, oh my god, yes.
Which is so sad because you guys talking about him being in prison reminded me of the conversation they had in the inn room, and like Nina was like, "Oh, you can grow a beard," and he was, "I'll grow my beard to keep you warm." And so now I'm imagining Matthias sitting in a jail cell with a beard, and so it made me think of that cute, adorable scene. And I think that what you were saying, Katie, about him being so hot, because yes, I don't know what it was about that scene, but he was just sitting there looking at her, and I was like, wow, that jaw, man, really something else. But yeah, I was really sad with how things played out. Is that how it happens in the book? Like, that's right?
That was actually almost
kind of, yeah.
The only difference was it wasn't Fedior.
Right.
He
Yeah.
wasn't.
I thought that, yeah.
But there was definitely a thing where the Grisha find them, and then she goes, "Oh no, he's a slaver," because she knows that for like him to be just imprisoned is better than him to be dead to her.
Right.
Phaedra's role in this was really confusing to me because he comes off so like puppy playful and everything, but he also has scenes where he's very dark.
I loved that.
Yeah.
They played with this character in a really cool way, but it kind of scared me.
Well, we have to remember, his husband / boyfriend is evil. So
Ivan, yeah.
Ivan is like, he doesn't even have a sunshine moment. He's just like grouchy.
Yeah, grouchy, mean the whole time. So it's like if you're with that kind of a person, I mean,
No, but I want him to rub off on Ivan. I don't want Ivan to rub off on him.
I think it's actually the other way. I think Fedior didn't. I don't think it rubbed off. I think that's what Ivan likes too. Like I think that's why Ivan loves him. He's like,
oh, Ivan likes Fedior's dark side.
Get mean.
Oh no, am I gonna write fan fiction about Ivan?
I was literally about to say
I would read it.
Fanfiction
Dude,
territory
our
here.
tag is already popping. I stumbled upon it accidentally, and there was already like 80 works, and it's been
amazing.
Really? Oh my god, they do not waste time. Truly,
No, they
Send me the
do
best
not
one.
waste time.
Fan fiction writers work harder.
They do. They really, really do.
But yeah, I don't know. What else? Does anyone have any other moments? That's all I wanted to talk about. I don't have any other moments that really stood out to me.
Oh, I love Inej and Zoya fighting together.
Yes.
Very cool.
The moment that Inej at the darkling.
Oh
I
yeah.
loved it.
When she
It'll take
I'm
more
sorry.
than this.
yeah.
Well, before he says that, you're just like, oh,
Well, it's
maybe,
also-
maybe she did something. I was like, maybe she did something. But
It's a
then he
really
was just like,
moment too, because the Darkling has essentially all of the qualifications to be a saint.
Mm-hmm.
And for Inej to be so ready to just murder him was a really interesting moment. Like, I know he's not an official saint, but he has the qualifications to have been.
But that's got to go back to the fact that she has so much faith in Alina. And she's
Yeah.
like, no saint would treat this person or
Mhm.
saint like this.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like imprison her.
And
So-
it's so good. Love it.
I did
But,
also
I mean-
love all of them like sitting around the campfire. I was like, this is a squad that I did not know I needed, but I kind of love it.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
random, but whatever, I guess. I'm
I-
like,
I
Glad
dug
that
it.
I'm glad Zoya didn't stay with them. There was a moment when they were all sitting together where I was like, is Zoya gonna
yeah.
Be part of the squad now. Yeah.
and then she went her own way and I said, okay, works for
But
me.
where was
Make-
she going? She literally walked. Like I was so confused.
But
she just
isn't
walked
she
off.
going to see
She's going
her
to
family, right?
check on her family.
She's gonna go into the fold.
Yeah.
On
No,
her
That's
own.
all.
Yeah,
No.
Crossfire.
She's going into
Came
the destroyed
back.
city. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
But
that's
she was-
in
Like
That's
the
in the
fold receded again. Because like
They have
Oh.
the Darkling expanded the fold and destroyed West
I didn't know
Ravka,
it-
right? West Ravka.
West Ravka.
And then the
Yeah.
Alina like brought her powers back, and then the fold receded back on itself. So like it still exists, but like on its original position. But then this whole city was destroyed, and Zoya was going to look for her family to see if they were alive.
Mhm.
I thought when Alina did what she did, it was just like revealing what happened because then they show like the
No.
Volcra
When she stopped-
dragging a body over a rooftop, and I was like, "Damn, that's a
No,
visual."
no. She like receded the fold back.
Yeah,
to-
she stopped it from spreading.
The ship,
Mhm.
the
Oh.
Zoya brought the ship back, and that's why he got angry.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, that makes a lot more sense then. Because I was like, she's literally just walking into the fold, and how is she supposed to survive that? She has no, like, yes, she has power, but not that kind of power.
It wouldn't shock me if she did survive.
No.
does do the fold by herself in the Siege and Storm gap. But correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
What?
I feel like
I don't remember that. I'm not sure.
but like it's from Alina's point of view, so it's very barely touched on. But I feel like she does talk about the fact that she like searched for her family and like had to go back through the fold to get home by
Oh.
herself.
Remember.
I
I
don't
remember
know.
her being in the little palace, and she was like, "Oh, hey, why are you here?"
I don't
That's in,
remember, but I'm sure that probably
Rule
did
of Wolf
happen.
or King of Scars, I think.
Is it?
Yeah, I remember it vividly in King of Stars. I don't remember it much in the trilogy, like in the first.
Yeah.
Because we
Her
only
whole
get Alina's perspective, so
Yeah, and that's probably why. So.
What did you think
I
about
get
the last
her
scene?
mixed up.
What?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, read it.
I was asking, like, what did you guys think about the like very last scene of the Darkling?
That's what I was about to ask. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, Dale.
Good.
No, you're good. Take
I was
over.
just thinking about it.
I loved it.
Like
I
the
loved how it was
visuals,
shot.
I don't know how to pronounce. How do you pronounce
The
like his
Nichiboya?
syllable?
There you go.
Nichivoya.
Nichivoya. Did you like the visual of it? Because I really liked
I
it.
they were
loved
scarier
it.
than I could have ever dreamed.
Yeah,
I thought
that
they
was
cut it off
so
a
scary.
second.
They kind of look like the
too short.
mentors, though. They kind of reminded me of like
Do a little.
a little bit, but not in a bad way. Because like the Dementors were really creepy. But I really like the visuals of it. I think they did a really good job with it.
I was terrified. I thought like they're so much bigger than him too, which I really loved. Like he's
They're
walking like a
huge.
little ant compared to them. I think they cut off the scene just a second or two too short of like what they should have really let us linger on. So I wish they had like just lengthened it a little bit. But yeah,
They're
I'm really
I almost
trying
think
to
this is
build
by
up
cutting
to
it.
season 2.
yeah.
They're like, this is a
They're like, hey, stream the show again.
yeah. I don't know why. I always pictured the Nichivoya as the little like Gengar creatures in Pokemon.
Oh,
I pictured them as this is really specific, but I pictured the Nichivoya as like, do you remember Rise of the Guardians?
Yes.
Heard of it,
yes,
but never.
the nightmare fuel.
Mhm.
Well, I pictured the Darkling looking like the boogeyman from that movie. We don't have time to unpack. But like he uses like nightmare sand, and like that's always how I pictured it. But I like what they did, and it the way that the Nichivoya and also the Darkling's scarring
I
look.
was just gonna comment on that.
Oh
like,
yeah.
The
he's
scarring
gonna
when
look
it happens
so
again
crazy.
is gonna make me cry.
Yeah, because like he's gonna keep the scars, right? Yeah.
This is what I pictured. He also gives them to someone else,
No.
and then I'm going to lose my mind.
Say what?
Yeah.
When he gives the exact same scars to someone else, and then
Oh yeah.
I'm crying because they look so scary.
Like it makes sense too why he would do that now. Like I kind of liked that he looks so crazy at the end of this episode because I'm like, okay, now it makes sense because he's like, I'm kind of not cute.
I'm kind of
So everybody else can look not cute, you know? Like, I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I wish I remembered what you're. I really just.
Also, like with the Ruin and Rising Nichivoya contrast.
Yeah.
When that happens, I was like already mourning. I was already like, oh no. Oh dear.
Yeah.
I'm kind of a little confused about just. Are they going to follow him all the way back to Ravka? Like, where are they going?
I don't remember what he use them to get people to do what he says.
But is he going to still be able to suck them back into his body, or is he walking around with a giant army for the rest of the?
I mean, that's what he does in the books.
Is he going to slurp them?
I do not want this to be the word of our show.
Will he be able to slurp them back in, or is he just walking around?
I mean, in the books, he they're just an extension of his power. So same as how he isn't always surrounded by darkness, like he just kind of
them. He summons them essentially. They come the shadows around. So
exactly, and that's why I'm just like, so we didn't really need that scene at the end. Is what I'm saying. Like, I know they did it for drama, but they didn't.
But it's for
dramatic effect.
It's drama.
Yeah,
they did it so we would watch season 2.
They did it so you could be like, oh, it's time for season 2. Ooh.
Yeah, because at that moment, Alina and Mal think that he's dead, right?
Yeah, I think he's gone.
So
I loved that.
Laugh out loud to me.
What?
It's funny to me that I think he really just got murdered.
Yeah.
By like, y'all really are not gonna go look for the body.
They really thought it was that easy. Like he'll
like that, and also like the gold is
and...
still there. Like,
yeah,
no one's using their brains apparently. But anyway.
Well, but also that reinforces that Mal and Alina are so young and naive.
Yeah,
and I really love that because sometimes people are like, oh, the heroes are always so on it, and then they're just like, nope, he's dead. We think it happened. We should go now.
Yeah,
like.
I did think that scene with them fighting was really cool, though. Like, I don't remember what Mal said, but it was some cool one-liner. And then the Volcra attacks the Darkling, and it looks really gruesome. Don't know how he survived it, honestly, but obviously he's a Darkling.
He says something like, I don't have to kill you, your past will do it for you.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
In the last episode, Darkling said, I don't have to kill you, the future will do it for me. And so
Time
then they
will
had
do it for
the whole parallel, and I loved it.
It was very cool.
Is that what you were going to say, Catherine?
That was exactly what Katie literally took the words out of my mouth.
I was like,
yes.
I did not catch that on my second rewatch, so because I heard both of those lines and thought both of those lines were cool, but I did not put them together even in the second time.
Yeah,
I
he's
gotta
like,
start paying
time
more
will do it
attention.
for you. Your past will do it for you. It's really cool.
Yeah.
I also did like that in the fold we saw the ruins of that like church thing that the Grisha were taking sanctuary in. I didn't notice that the first time I watched it,
cool.
but I like that.
I noticed it, but I was like, why are we looking at this? I didn't make the connection until the second time I watched.
Because in the books, it's just like a wasteland. Like everything is kind of destroyed in the fold. So I like that there's the ruins of the different things that were in there. So,
Is Ivan dead? Is Ivan dead? Like at the end of the 8th episode,
I don't think so.
Oh yeah.
If I have to watch Fedor find out his husband is dead, then I
don't think they would kill Ivan. I feel like he's so
but like
not important, but like to the dark thing.
Enough to kill Ivan.
I don't think he's that important that they like even as Fedor is
not important. I didn't important, but
no, I know. I'm saying
sure.
Well, because like, what else does he do? You know what I mean? Like,
he is in Siege
he's
and
in the
Storm.
picture, but he kind of remains the Darkling's right hand man all the way through.
And now he has like 17 of those, so he doesn't really need Ivan.
Right? Like, didn't he fall off the ship?
Yeah, he totally fell off the ship into the fold. Or like,
I wasn't sure if Jesper shot him and he felt like died off the ship. Ship.
He did say he shot him in the chest because Jesper was like, I should have shot the face. Like he has a whole callback to their
I
last.
thought he was talking about his face.
Oh. No.
No,
I didn't
I
understand
think
the
Jesper
line.
was making a joke because he was like, "Oh, Ivan's hot," so I can't shoot him in the face.
I really thought he was just calling himself hot in that moment.
I mean,
that's something Jesper would do.
True. Did we
That
have to
makes
talk about the Mal and Darkling, like their little moment in the tent when they're talking about?
So good.
Yeah, like I really liked that part. This
Me
was the
too.
confrontation I wanted.
I feel like we never get a Mal Darkling confrontation, period, in the books. Like it never happens. Partially because it's from this point of view. But like it's that thing of like they never interact at all. So to see them have this like really, really, really intense like conversation where someone was it Catherine in our group chat that was up all night where you were like, is it bad that I ship them? And then I was like, no.
Catherine, the fanfiction is writing itself as you are.
It was
speaking.
it was when they were doing in episode 5 when they were having that because we get 2 darkling mouth things and they get like really close to each other and it was also at like 5 o'clock in the morning and I was like, what is happening?
I'm kind of into this energy.
And then I remember some things that happen in the future and no.
I like love that he tricks him into telling what Alina's favorite flower is.
Flowers, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, the Darkling really did that.
And then there's
I love
flowers where so the Darkling gives her the flowers and Kaz and Inej look at each other and I was like,
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It was so
good.
Yeah.
I love that moment because there is like a line in Six of Crows about I can't even remember what the exact quote is, but about the guy for you is the one who knows your favorite flower and your favorite food and like all that.
Yeah,
and I was just like,
dad. Inej's dad.
Inej's dad. I'm like, Nell knows her favorite flower.
Yeah.
He knows it instantly.
Yeah.
The Darkling is like, oh, like what if you knew her favorite flower? And he's like, irises, blue ones.
Yes!
Yeah,
But
like,
I love that moment of the Darkling because it was like such a teenager move. It was just like such
he's like, I know her better than you,
conning
for
him into
sure.
telling him what her favorite flower was, and then just like whoop, there it is. I just know it.
Yeah,
It was
Such a dick move.
16-year-old
How would that ever actually work?
for sure. Yeah, it was so funny.
I feel like that's like the first clue that something's up with the Darkling.
I agree.
For people who are just watching the show.
I think the first time I was like, ooh, he's not looking good right now is when he was like talking to Fedior, I think. And they were talking about Nina.
Yeah. Well, there's that moment where Fedior comes in. This is episode 6. And he's like, I found her. And he's like, where's my summoner?
Yeah.
Like, and it's very possessive. And he's like, Nina. I found Nina. Like,
and you're like, okay.
Yeah. Calm down.
Calm down, sir. Hold your horse. There is a little bit of a chaos coming for you right now. I don't like the energy.
Your eyes looking real crazy.
Fedior's like, I don't like the energy that we have created in this room.
Yeah, let's bring it down. Bring it down.
And then he says, can I bring Ivan with me to go pick up Nina? And he's like, no, you cannot take your husband out to pick up Nina.
See, why couldn't he just be all good? I would have been fine with him being all good and even just converting onto Alina's side. I'm just the whole thing with Nina in the tavern.
Well, I think the thing with Nina in the tavern, I don't think that paints him as bad because he thinks that he's rescuing Nina.
I know, but even when he realizes that he's not, it's not like I mean, obviously he's not going to change his opinion in 1 minute.
I think he thinks that Nina has betrayed him.
And I think it's painting and setting up.
No, Katie, you say it.
Okay, sorry. I think it's setting up that the Grisha and the Druskella have no remorse for each other on both sides. Because from our point of view in Six of Crows, we think it's all just the Druskella, but really it's also the Grisha. And they're both, and the Grisha have all the right to hate the Druskella. But I do think that that's setting up that tension, especially like with Nina, because Nina is like, no, he's not bad. He actually eats waffles. And then he's like, but he's a Druskella. They cannot be redeemed. And she's like, he's different, but Daddy, I love him. Like this whole
God. Yeah.
And so there's think it's establishing that, and it's less of like it's just showing that Nina. It's also showing up that Nina isn't welcome back in Ravka after what she did right there, because there's that whole crowd of Grisha who will throw her under the bus the second she tries to come back. So it's essentially her being like, I'm officially an outsider and I can't go back. And then that's a whole lot of her Six of Crows plotline, is her being like, I can't go back.
Right.
Yeah.
And
I
it
feel like
shows
there's-
his loyalty too, Fedyor.
Mhm.
Like it shows how loyal he is to Ravka and how like Nina is on the outside, like you say now.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like that's more for his character too.
But he also lets her go. Like, honestly, if Ivan had
True.
been there, he would have killed both of them.
That's what I was thinking, because like he watches her
lets her
leave.
go because he has like there's like the conflict that he doesn't want to start with the other country, with Courage. Or
Yeah.
not with Courage, but with Ketterdam, I guess.
I honestly think Fedyor is going to stay at Team Darkling for the like rest of the show.
I don't want that. I just want to
Depends
like I
on if
like
Ivan's
him as a
alive or not.
person.
I don't
Well,
know.
it does depend if Ivan's alive. You're
Yeah, if
absolutely
Ivan's
he
dead,
could-
Fedyor's gonna
Oh,
have. a
Ivan's gonna be
nice
his like catalyst for like complete revenge. No, I don't want this.
Yeah. I'm like, if that's why they did that, then that makes sense.
What is
Because
with
we
the
liked Fedyor more than
only-
Ivan, so.
only making me care about the side couples that have no development and just
It's
And
true,
this,
though.
we don't even have like book references for the two of them.
I know.
Why would they give us something so great just to take it away?
I love it. No.
I don't. I think it would be weird that Ivan did survive, though. Just to go back to that for a second, because like, there's no indication. There's no way he could have made it out.
Well,
Well, do
The
all the
only-
other people on the skiff, do they die? Like the delegates?
I think
or
I thought
whatever?
the Heartrender just like
The Darkling kills them.
The
Yeah,
Darkling isn't
which
cut.
I was
How
really
if they just
bothered
knocked them
by.
out?
Doesn't he
Yeah.
have
have
the
to
cut
make
on
this
everybody?
all over again. Darn.
maybe he
Yeah,
does
he
kill
says
him.
that whole thing about the speech, and I'm like, but why did you do that? Like, all the woman said was, "Hey, you shouldn't do this because people aren't going to like you." Like, he knew
Oh
that
my God,
already.
I
Why
think
why did they kill her?
I really love it when he says he uses. I think he uses the cut and he kills them, and then he's just like, "Damn, I'm gonna have to make that speech again." I was like,
It was a heartrender who just like dropped their heart rate.
Yeah, I
No,
couldn't
it's
tell
like-
if the Heartrender killed them or just knocked them out.
I
No,
couldn't
they're
tell
dead.
either, but the
If they stayed on
implication
this
from that
cliff,
line
then
is that he
Kills-
killed them.
Doesn't he kill them in Shadow and Bone? Like,
Yeah, he kills everybody, right?
yeah, he kills a
Everybody
lot of
dies,
people.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah.
think they showed that
I think
as much.
I think they're dead. The
Oh,
only
they're
thing that I was gonna say about Ivan that he might be alive is because he is wearing his kefta and they are bulletproof. And Jesper clearly says I should have shot him in the face.
Yeah, but why did he even? Was it just because he hit him at close range that he fell, like, got knocked
Yeah,
out?
it was because he was standing by
Oh,
the
yeah.
side and he just got forced.
Yeah, yeah. Just
Yeah.
the
All
sheer
over.
force.
Because
of
it doesn't
the
go
bullet.
through the Kefta, but they still absorb the impact.
Right.
Which you see when Jesper shoots him that like first time in episode 6.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
shown in that episode with the laundry, and he keeps
Mhm.
taking the force, but it doesn't penetrate through the kefta.
Right.
So
My
Yeah.
biggest peeves about this world. Like, I don't know why, but it didn't bother me in the books. But knowing that they are bulletproof in the show, it just bothers me so
I
much
didn't
because
realize they were bulletproof in the books. I feel
Me
like
neither.
that completely went over my head, and so now that it's there, I'm like, okay.
I'm just like watching the Darkling go like this when
Uh,
whoever. I'm just like, stop! Like, this is so stupid. This is just a sleeve. It should not be doing what it's doing right now. But
Well, 'cause
obviously,
they're
it's
like
special fabricator
fabricator.
magic.
Yeah.
I know. I just hate it. I hate it because it's too easy.
It's like Wonder Woman though with her cuffs.
But even then,
Exactly.
she's bulletproof too. Like, yeah, she's stopping the bullets, but I feel like she's immortal. She's not easily downed by a bullet. So it's just like, it's not the same. But anyway, that's a tangent for another day. But we can go ahead and start wrapping up now since we're coming up on 2 hours. But, oh, I want to talk about Michael's puppy for a second. I read a little thing. He's having a hard time being attentive because my 5-month-old puppy is having an all-out war with his back paw. He doesn't seem to realize his leg isn't a separate entity, and he can stop kicking himself in the face.
And
I love dogs so much.
What kind of
That is
puppy
so
this
funny.
is?
This was a long time ago, so I don't even know if you're still here, Michael, but please tell us what kind of puppy this is.
oh gosh, yeah.
But I love dogs so much. Thank you for sharing that beautiful, heartfelt moment with us.
For sure.
Also,
So
I think Ivan might be alive because I feel like the Darkling would have. He's his right-hand man essentially. So
But again, he's like not important. He doesn't do anything.
But he's
But
around though, you know.
he's around, but
There's no need to. I feel like he would at least be killed in a notable way, not just like an ambiguous.
it was very ambiguous. You're right. Yeah.
flying off.
Mhm.
Oh my god,
He's a
Michael
Yorkie.
That's
I
so
love
cute. Little boo.
I love Yorkies.
Oh my god.
Thank you for that.
And,
yeah.
and thanks for letting us know that you're still watching because we've been talking for 2 hours. So
We've
that's
been
cool.
talking a long time. Thank you, Michael. And thank you, everyone else who tuned in. Stephanie, I saw Sam in there. And yeah, I really appreciate you guys joining us for these 3 episodes of simping, fangirling, all the things, raging, lots of tangents for sure. So thank you guys all for being here. Thank you, Katie, Catherine, Rita, Christine, and Mo. I appreciate it a lot. And hopefully there's another and David.
And
Is there any book to movie or book to show adaptations coming up that you guys are excited about?
Heartstopper.
Oh,
That's a long way
yeah.
off.
Read them.
That's a long way away, though.
Yeah.
Long
That's
way
not
off.
for at least a year.
That one's gonna be so cute.
I know they're
Let's make plans for a
filming
year from now.
season 2 of Love Victor, which is
Oh, yeah,
a
they are
spin-off of Love
I
Simon.
love that show.
I never
So
watched it.
cute.
that.
It's
Yeah,
so
like,
What's
What's
the
that?
name of the show and the book? But it's like a fantasy series
what?
about
Dune?
time, maybe.
Oh.
No.
Wheel of Time is getting adapted.
Yeah, that looks really good.
What is?
Wheel of
I
Time?
Wheel of Time.
Oh,
Wheel
Wheel
of
of Time.
Time.
I heard about time and I was just...
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, I was blanking on the name.
I saw the picture of the cast and I was like, this is a good looking cast.
Yes, I
I
definitely
need to go
last
see.
person. I'm like, okay.
Like they
I'm
were
gonna
And
look
they
them up.
just announced The Summer I Turned Pretty.
They're making a movie for those?
They just announced the cast for that as well.
Literally are just going buck wild.
Yeah.
It's because all the streaming services are realizing they need more content. So, time to tap into YA literature.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yep.
I hope we get a Battle of Songbirds and Snakes movie. I want to see my
was
young
Happening.
Snow.
That one already said they're working on that before the
They
book
are?
was even.
Oh wow.
The same day the book was announced, they were like, "And
I
it's
had
going."
no idea.
And I was like, "Good."
I have to go put on my Hunger Games simping hat again. It's been a long time. I got my pins over there. I got my badges. I'm ready. Okay.
Badges.
We'll be first in line. Thank you for informing me of this. I did not know. But anyway, we can come back together for that movie whenever that comes out. I'd love to chat with you again then. So thanks, guys, for being here. Thank you, everyone who was in the comments. Appreciate you all. And we'll see you with the next book to movie adaptation. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.